front set. Pitch 500. Pre-vent. Rotate.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Hold on. I swear I get a phone call every time I go live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I know y'all thought I was flying the 380 for some reason. I guess the Frontier A320neo on the thumbnail was a little misleading. So I decided to continue on the trend and just load up in the FSS. Oh, excuse me. This is the X-Crafts X-Plane 11 or 12 rather. We're in X-Plane 12 today with the X-Crafts E170. And yeah, I thought we'd give it a shot. Y'all been saying it's good. We want to do night ops. We can't see anything anyway, so X-Plane will be good for night ops. And this will be good. You guys ready? Who wants some night ops on the E170? Sitting here at Jackson Hole. Okay. Fine. There we go. There's our baby. For real. I was just thinking that. I was like, man, I really wish there was a 380 on the ramp so that I could just go sit at the 380 and then everyone would lose their mind when we went live. No, it's not real. I got you. We are in the 320 Neo. Just like the weather in Jackson Hole. It's a beautiful afternoon in LA. Yes, Galaxy Sim. I know. The sun is setting. I've sped the sim time forward. I couldn't figure out where I was going to fly tonight. I was thinking we do Seattle, Portland. I don't know. We're just going to take this puppy all the way into Los Angeles up here in the 320 Neo. Probably going to be the last time I fly this airplane for quite some time because we all know the 380 is on the brink of release, right? Apparently it's tomorrow. So I'm hoping I'm hoping it releases at a decent hour, and then we'll be able to stream it tomorrow. But once it does drop, I think that'll be pretty much the end for the 320 Neo for me, just for a while, you know, until we get things settled down and the 380 hype dies down. But this is also a good opportunity to see where this airplane is. This is the sole airplane that pretty much kept me engaged in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So without the FlyByWire 320, I probably wouldn't have pursued Microsoft at all, and probably would have just been flying X-Plane 11 right now still. So we're going to give this airplane its last hurrah. The flight time is a little bit longer than I wanted to be going down this way, so we might do a green dot, or we might go over some of the we already went over the NTSB. If you missed it, we went over the NTSB report of the Frontier accident in Vegas, where that tire caught fire and all the smoke in the cockpit, etc., etc. So we'll see. Maybe we'll think of something juicy to do in cruise here as the sun sets. I think it'd be a good night for a movie. And if Mrs. V1 comes in clutch with the vanilla latte delivery, I think she's on her way. She's got to get her tire fixed, or they're going to fix the tire. I dropped the tire off. So I'm hoping we'll have a little green dot and coffee tonight. So who's ready to do this? We're going to fly nighttime to Los Angeles. I can't wait to see LAX at night. I just came out of there last trip. Flew in and out of there in the middle of the night. It was great. Well, I say it was great. It was a good trip, but just seeing LA at night is pretty incredible, man. It's when you come in over the hills and the glow of the city. So I'm hoping the weather holds out. Callie Simmer says it's a beautiful night right now, so I'm hoping that remains true, and we can enjoy a beautiful evening flight. No PSL. No, I already had my PSL today. I'm on number 3, so can't only have one PSL a day. If you have 3, you might have issues. So 1 PSL a day, just regular coffee, and then maybe just a little latte here in the evening to just coast us over the hump as we get ready for 380 Thursday, if it drops in time for me to stream it. So reset the drone cam. Now here's the other problem I'm having. Wow, we got a lot of air. Is this the scenery, or is this... Are y'all on Iveo Premium? That's an Iveo Premium. Looks like a 321 inside of a 320 static. We got a 319 right there. I think these are static. Ooh, a 727 down there. That must be Team Vodka. Now, I was all excited. Look at that background. Look at that. That's so cool. Hold on one second. All right. Hey, we have a delivery of the goods, chat. We have delivery. Stand by. All right. Thanks, man. All right. I'll see you a little bit.
Okay.
Bye. That's good. What'd you get?
Ooh.
Ice one?
Not going to bed tonight.
I know, right? Well, I already have 2. Look.
I told her you'd been in twice.
Oh.
And this was your second. He's like, oh, the dark guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. See ya.
It's cricket right here.
I know. All right. We have achieved the pump. We have achieved the coffee, Chad. We are good to go. We are set. I'm extra pumped now. I didn't know if that was going to be delivered in time. Let's go ahead and get into it. What I was going to say, though, GSX is driving me nuts. Look, I come here. I'm like, oh, we're going to have GSX for our night flight. No, it just doesn't work. Choose an airport where GSX doesn't work, Zippy. I can't do it. GSX is dead to me. I'm done with you. But let's go ahead and fire up this A320 Neo. I'm not even sure how we're going to load the airplane if we don't have GSX, but let's figure this out together. Let's go ahead and get battery 1, battery 2, juice up the sim sounds a little bit. And we'll go right into external power. Ooh, that's a little too loud for me. I've been into and out of Jackson Hole a few times. It's even more beautiful than you can imagine. Oh, yeah. Let's turn the dome light on. Let's get some overhead juice up in here. Let the cockpit come to life. We'll get everything powered up. I'm using the stable version? Oh, no. Wait, what? What do you mean, Kayaz? I'm at the wrong version of the 320 Neo. I thought it looked different. I can't restart. Should we just do the Fenix? Fenix or restart? Neo or restart? Yeah, I saw the glare shield look wrong. Okay, I'm going to put a poll in chat. You're going to put a poll in chat. Look, because we have to do the stream. because I just got my third coffee. So, what do we do? Fenix. Restart sim with FlyByWire. New version. Okay. Let me know. Poll. Poll. Dougal wants a Fenix. I see some restarts in there. You have 30 seconds to vote, chat. 30 seconds. When this hits 3-0, I'm going to end the poll. I'm pretty sure we're going to restart. I'm actually surprised. Wow, a lot of you want to see fly-by-wire. Okay. All right, we might as well save another 15 seconds. Let's just go ahead and do this. We're just going to go ahead and end this, end that. They stole it from you, Dougal. I'm sorry. Restart F28. I don't always restart my simulator, but when I do it, I like to do it with about 300 people watching. Makes me feel like a pro streamer. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. All right, we'll end the poll there. I knew something looked off, Chaos. Why didn't you fix it? Can we do something in the meantime? I literally have nothing else to do. Well, we'll wait here. I guess we'll wait. So I got to quit to desktop. At least the sim doesn't take 45 minutes to load. It only takes about 15. Yes, this is my favorite right here. 348 viewers on a dark screen. If I had some human decency, I'd at least put up the Be Right Back screen. I'm going for a record. Let's see how many viewers we can get with a black screen here. No noise. Development version. That's what I need, right? Switch version. No, I don't want SimBridge. You're dead to me. You can't crash my sim. All right, we're loading. We're installing the development version. I love the dark stream. You guys are awesome. This is why I love V1 Nation. This is awesome. We're decompressing the image. Stand by. Should we go from a different area? Let's go from somewhere else. I need a different departure, guys. I don't want to do Jackson. Well, everybody's waiting in Jackson Hole. I guess we'll go back to Jackson Hole. I was going to say I don't want to do Jackson Hole because there's no GSX. We're going to Vegas. No, we're going to LA. We're going to LA. It's now an ASMR channel. Geez, we're up to 359 viewers in the black screen. Zippy Zapple, this is the content I am here for. The Void is fun. Welcome to the Void. It's funny because it's just a black screen and out of nowhere you saw Zippy's membership milestone chat. Let's leave them. Leave them in Jackson Hole. GSX is dead to me, but Key 6 forced me to revive it. V1 Radio. I thought you had a review copy of the 380. I wish, man. They don't love me though. Podcast? We could do a podcast. This is like flying over Nevada. Oh my gosh. Hey, we're almost there, chat. We're 4 out of 7 textures. Jack M, thanks for the 6 months support. I love your streams. Happy to finally catch one live. Hey, well, I'm happy that you're catching the black screen live, man. Appreciate you. Oh, word. 300 likes for the black screen. Leave everyone or new airport. Let's try that. Let's do another poll. Okay, departure. I guess Salt Lake would be. Salt Lake has a GSX, right? Leave everyone. SLC depart or Jackson Hole. All right, we are installed, chat. We're rebooting the sim. Black screens are better than blue screens of death. Okay, hey, we're juicing it up, chat. Here we go. We're launching the sim. Wow, all the membership milestone chats coming in. That's awesome. Sam Smith, welcome, Prop Pod, man. Glad to have you on board. Welcome to the nonsense that is V1 channel here. Skyfall, thank you for the 23 membership, 23 months. Oh no, don't tell me Jeff's here. Jeff's here, really? Oh, this is embarrassing. What do you say? I have to scroll back. Look at this beautiful stream. That's okay. We're back. This is what happens when you stream the 380 early. You can only fly it with the black screen. True. That is true. Oh, my word. Less than 6 months from applying to the regionals. Thanks for the encouragement. Chase my dreams as a second career. I'm not laughing at you, Matthew. I'm just laughing at the situation. But that, dude, that's awesome, man. Very cool to hear that. You're almost there, man. Keep chugging along. That's gonna be. You're gonna enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Second career. You're gonna enjoy it, man. Absolutely love it. 55% of V1 Nation are assholes, me included. That's probably true. It's probably accurate. Myself too. Back to black. Rustique. Gives a chance to load in to fly with today. It does, Skyfall. It does. You can load in with me today. I appreciate y'all getting us through the black screen there. Ooh, the poll says leave everyone at Salt Lake. I have to refile. I'd have to refile flight plan. Mickey G, thanks for the 5 gifted memberships, man. Appreciate you. You now have a membership to the all black screen streaming channel. Mickey G, appreciate the support, my man. Oh, yeah, we're reloading. Oh, great. Wingnut's here. Don't you have some airplane to go land at Flap 15? I loaded into the wrong version. So, Aaron Rodgers' Black Darkness Simulator. Yes, that was... What did Aaron Rodgers just say about the... I've been into the darkness. You have to get comfortable in the darkness. Team Vacas is not relocating. All right, let's just go from Jackson Hole. We're already there. We've got our flight plan. We've got 2 coffees to go through, and we'll turn on a movie and we'll enjoy the flight. Oh my word. Are you aware of any alternates to GSX Pro? No, I am not, unfortunately. This is not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. So even though the Salt Lake City departure won, probably not going to do that. Fountain of Youth Rogers. Did y'all see? Yeah. What is it? The cayenne pepper and water. Oh, I tell you what, cayenne pepper dough is legit. Oh man, I'm gonna have to pause the alert box. Y'all are like, the sim can't even load. Y'all are crashing my OBS here. What is going on? My word, Wingnut. Wingnut, thanks for the 10 gifted memberships, man. I appreciate you. Jeez, if you pick up membership from Wingnut, make sure you shout them out. Say thank you, man. Appreciate the support, dude. Hey, when are we gonna do that? We have 2 things we gotta do, Wingnut. We gotta do a landing challenge and a group flight into uncontrolled airspace. You know what I'm saying? Jeff Heviano says, I can't wait for the 380 regional jet. The replacement to the CRJ on 200 of VATSIM is almost here. Oh, my word. Well, didn't they say they only want it at proper 380 airports? But yeah, who's to say you can't go from like Dulles to DC in a 380? Or like Dulles to, I guess you couldn't go to DC, but what about Dulles to Kennedy? You can go Kennedy to Boston. Those both take 380s. I think we should do 4 legs tomorrow, all less than 200 miles in the A380. I think that'd be the way to do it. Thomas Ray, thanks for the $5 super chat. This is absolute madness in here. It's been time to join the cult of V1 today. I turned 28, and for my birthday, I'm glad to always watch and sometimes join a V1 on this flight. Thomas Ray, thanks for the $5 super chat, man. Hey, welcome to the dark side, literally. And I don't know why this is taking so long to load. It's because we just installed a new airplane. Dang it. That's why. Rastik with the 5 gifted memberships. Appreciate you, Rastik, man. Very, very kind. And happy birthday to Thomas Ray, indeed. Happy birthday, Thomas Ray. Thank you again for that $5 super chat, dude. Too kind, too kind. All right, here we go. Back to Jackson Hole. I was at gate 6. Nobody spawned on me. Yeah, can't wait. We just say Southwest 2155 Super. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine the supers on that sim? Just the call sign, Southwest Super. JetBlue 2155 Super. Or what about, how about like a region like Brickyard 3157 Super. Oh, word. This is the chat room stream. Fubar, this is literally a chat room stream. Bossman Wilson, thanks for the $2 super chat, man. Salt Lake City now, please. Dude, I appreciate that. If you would have sent that before I clicked in to load, I probably would have honored that request. But we're already loaded up, man. The people want to go. The people want to go. Blue Streak 5510 Super. Career Track Super. Oh, my word. Oh, my gosh. I can't. Guys, we haven't even started the stream yet. I can't. I'm already like, I'm crying. Career track. If career track is ATP flight school, if you don't know. So a lot of times you hear career track on the radio. Oh, goodness me. All right, here we go. We're back. Hold on. Let's start this over. We need a reset. We need a reset. Hold on. Y'all just go back over here. There we go. Just give me a second. We got to start over here. We don't have to listen to that guy anymore, though. What time is it? It's 4:21, so we need to set the sim to 6. Jeez, it gets dark at 6:30. Let's just set the sim to 6 p.m.
80 knots, thrust set. 5500.
All right. Here we go. We're back. All right. Let's fire up the airplane, shall we? Let's reconnect to Aveo Premium, our same flight plan. We still have auto ATC, I think. We're good. The VATSA memes are consistent as gravity. I know. It's going to be mayhem. I'm actually debating. Let's go ahead and fire up the airplane. We're behind schedule. I'm actually debating just doing a plane spotting stream. I think that would be pretty cool. Just plane spot the entirety of the madness. But I'm not sure what airport would be the best. Probably Dubai. But I want to see people coming in and biffing the landing, so I don't know. Is it just me or is you? I'm probably quiet because I've been reading the chat and my microphone is way over here. I got to turn the mic a little bit. Should be good now. You got me, Chaos? Okay. Deep breaths. I'm going to reset. Guys, only on V1 Nation does that happen. You guys are incredible. A little coffee. We're good to go. We're good. Maybe we should switch to Truck Sim. You know, would you guys want to see Truck Sim? I don't know. Might not be a bad idea there, Dougal. All right. Crew supply, ground control, CVR test. That's up and running. Let's get the ADIRs 1, 2, and 3. We'll put you, Captain Purrs, to Captain only. Strobe into the auto. Navs on. Arm these emergency exit lights. Packs off. Everything looks good. Fire 1. Fire 2. Fire 3. Beautiful. Up the right-hand side, all looks good. That should be out and off. We can't do that. That's in normal. Wonderful. Airplane's coming up to life. Now, here's the question. Do I have to reconfigure the fly pad? Or tell me it's going to have everything from everything else? All right. Fuel and payload imported. Beautiful. What about, like, my settings over here, though? It appears that everything is still bound. I think it should work, right? Okay. We're back at it. Now, my question is, to load everything, how do we load everything if we don't have GSX? Because we don't have anything current. So that'll be my only question. Maybe I can come down here. Let's go FMGC. Initialize. We're doing a init request down here. Oh, I got to disable GSX settings? Okay. Let me just make sure I can't get GSX over here. Well, that's so dumb. I can't even reposition to somewhere where there's a parking spot. Okay. All right. So in that case, we'll go over here to settings. Let's go to third-party options. We will disable those. Okay. So with those disabled, now I can go ahead and do this. So, hey, that works. Hey, at least they thought of something. The real time is 12 minutes. Fast time is 2. Let's do real, and we'll just start it now. So begin boarding. Fuel. Real is 4 minutes. We will start that. Who's calling me? Stop calling me. All right, fuel and boarding has commenced. Let's go ahead and load up our flight plan here. Flight plan uplink. We're not doing cost index 10. We're doing 99 today, so we'll go ahead and change that right now. Frontier Flight 357. We're going to be departing Jackson Hole on the... What do we take off out of here? Let's go to our Navigraph. If I can remember it. I love the boarding music. All right. I do like the fly pad. Fly pad is nice. We're going to take runway 19er for departure. Grab clearance. Is Salt Lake City under our window here? On 2557? But I was going to check. I see that Salt Lake is on. Oh, you're right. I can change it with the flight pad. I forgot. But then I can't use my fancy radio stack. Yeah, I'm inside the center. Okay, let's call them. Let me pull up the SID real quick. I did file us on the Alpine 4. So I'm going to put that in the box. Alpine 4. And to Kickney, but that's not there. So we'll insert that. And let's just give them a call. There it is. Kickney, then Odeuce. Oh, you know what I also need to bind? Excuse me, Chaz. I got to set up the Moza binding real quick. Alright, got that loaded up. We push to talk. Just keep it on hold on. Alright, we'll give these guys a call right now before we finish up anything else in the cockpit here in case they change it. Salt Lake City, good afternoon. It's Frontier Flight 357 on the ground at Jackson Hole. Clearance to Los Angeles, please.
I got a bunch of people calling. I'll call you back in a minute. United Forces 17 radar contact 3 miles north of Quadrant via
All right. I didn't quite hear him, but I think he said to wait, so we're going to hang tight. All right, LAX, we'll finish this part. We'll do the arrival. Hopefully we'll get 25. I want 25 left, because that's where I landed on the other night.
I heard the Frontier calling for IFR. Just to verify, that was Frontier Flight 357, or who was it?
Affirmative. Frontier 357 information, Alpha, Jackson Hole.
Okay, Frontier Flight 357, standby. Other aircraft calling Toga?
All right, so we're going to come down the Angel. No, yeah, Angel 4 from Hackman. Angel 4 off the Hackman transition.
Oscar India, Salt Lake Center, go ahead.
Which I don't see. Approach via Circus and Hackman.
Turkish 3 Oscar India, where are you located at?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, Hackman Angel 4. We'll insert that.
Turkish 3 Oscar India, the Salmon Airport is a non-powered facility, meaning it is the Class Golf airspace.
Jackson Hole perf data. I'm just trying to get ahead of it here.
Sorry, the flight will
All right, we'll leave it on that page.
So, frequency changes approved. There will be no ATC services required for the flight. However, if you'd like to pick up flight following, you can do so in the air.
All right. Finally feel a little bit caught up now. We're just waiting for clearance.
If you would like to request flight following or a radar service from me, yes, you can call me.
Yes, it is the SATEC radio panel. SATEC radio panel. Oh, you know what?
Flight 357 cleared to the Los Angeles Airport. Elton for departure. 16 that I followed. Flying via the set except maintain 15,000 plus 0564.
What was the... All right, clear to Los Angeles via the Alpine 4 departure, Kickney transition. So, climb via SID, except maintain 15,000, squawk 0564 for Frontier Flight 357.
Frontier Flight 357, we backtrack.
All right, 0567 on the squawk code. It's AM flight. AM flight.
463 Jackson ground clear to the Los Angeles Airport. Alpine 4 departure, Kickney that I followed. Flying via the SID, except maintain 15,000, squawk 7733.
All right, fueling is done, 14.8.
Alpine 4 departure, Kickney transition, climb via the SID, maintain 15,000, squawk 7733, Air Flight 463.
AM flight.
Air Flight 463, we backtrack.
All right, fuel on board, block is 14.0, that looks good. VOR, constraint mode, magic barrel ref is set. Initial altitude 15,000. Let me launch the... Man, I haven't used this in ages. What is the little thing called? The mini FCU. Yeah, let me connect my mini FCU. Hopefully it works. Here's my clearance. All right, we are connected beautifully. Let's check Yeah, it works. Excellent. 15,000 is set on the top altitude. Let's juice up the panel lights here. I do love the fly-by-wire at night. Fly-by-wire night lighting is juicy. All right, scroll these down just a hair. We're waiting on alignment. We got 1 minute. Fueling is done. Everything else is done.
Actually, Flight 463, unfortunately, LA does not want you on the CB arrival, so I got it. I'm going to have a new route for you.
Ooh, the 727's got a reroute.
Alright, no problem. Flight 463.
Jeremy, thank you. Yeah, I put 0564. I think I said it wrong. I put it in the right code. Yeah, 0564 is set. 15,000 is set. Let's take a quick look at the Alpine 4 departure. Alpine 4, imagine that. You can actually put it in night mode. I think somebody said best EFB at msfs. I'm inclined to agree. I'm actually inclined to agree with you, man. I really enjoy the fly pad from Fly-by-Wire. So pretty much looks like it's a straight out to Kickney, and then we are just on our own after that. So Kickney at or above 15,000, straight out, a lot of terrain on both sides. We do not have terrain on this aircraft because I don't install SimBridge because it crashes my sim. So we're going to keep that as is. We already set our squawk. We got ATC on, just waiting on passengers. You've been briefed. I've been briefed. Any questions? No. Let's do a cockpit preparation checklist. Maintenance log and tail number. Onboard check gear pins and covers. They are removed. Should be down here. Seatbelts are on. Aviators are navin. Fuel. We got 14 required, 14 on board. And altimeters 3007 is set. That all checks out. Let's go back to the boarding page here. Payload. And we are almost done. We'll set our zero fuel weight and our zero fuel weight CG once. Actually, it's not changing. I guess we could put it in now. 25.0 and 32. 25.1 and 32.3. Close enough. That looks good. And NIT B is done. 49 minutes extra gas. Perf speeds. Chat, can we hit... This is our last fly-by-wire 320 flight for quite some time. Can we hit 250 likes before takeoff? If we do it, we are packs off. Max Toga. Let's do it. That is the goal. Packs off, Max Toga for 250 likes. SimBridge doesn't crash on this version? Really, Luke? Well, fool me once, it's on me. Fool me twice, I'm not going to give you a second chance. There is a takeoff calculator. Ooh, you know what I did forget? Where would that be? Performance. Let's see. Fill data from OFP.
All right, let me read that back to you a little bit. So after Medford, we're Las Vegas VOR, Hector VOR, then Jet 6 to Palmdale VOR. I haven't, don't have anything after that yet. Can you read that back for me?
All right, dry looks good to standard. I have full faith we're going to hit 250. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do config 1 plus F, Toga takeoff, packs off, anti-ice. Do we need it? What's the temp? It's raining. Ooh, it is +2. There was rain in the area. I don't see any rain right now. It looks like it's moved off the field. So we'll go ahead and run it with anti-ice off at this time. So anti-ice off, packs off, but we are in that window as we get into the December months. This is going to be a great... I'm going to mute the radio for a minute. This is going to be a great opportunity to start doing some winter ops here pretty soon. All right, let's go ahead and calculate these. Tell me it pops up here. Does it pop up there? Nice. All right, 26, 30, 35, flap 1. 126, 135. I have a short-term memory. 130, 135. 130. Can you guys still hear the radio? That's crazy because I have the radio off. 26, 30, 35, flaps 1 Toga, no flex, anti-ice off, set thrust reduction 74, 30, 1,000 feet, that checks. I set those back to 1,000. All right, we are ready to go. Let's make sure we are done boarding almost. Are we done? Almost. 10 more packs. 10 more packs to go, chat. It is kind of quiet without GSX, but oh man, that does look nice. The ambiance of the fuel pumps, the air conditioning. Oh shoot, we don't even have air. We gotta turn the freaking APU on. There we go. Shh. NightOPS compressor stalls. Likes during black screen should count as 2 likes. Vladimir, you're absolutely right. All right, we have a good start on the APU. She's spooling up. There she is. A veil. Start the chrono for the bleed. Need about 3 minutes.
Boarding completed.
All right, boarding is complete. We'll go ahead and disconnect from the external power. We're going to wait on the bleed. While we wait on the bleed, let's go ahead and close that. Go ahead and turn the beacon on. Now here's the problem. I'm not even going to be able to push back, am I? So we'll have to do either Shift P. Wait. Do we have to call for push and start?
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck,
Whoa.
on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer,
Listen to
and
this
cabin
guy.
crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as there will be safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask.
So the captain PA should trump the passenger announcement address from the flight attendant. You can't have 2 at one time. The captain PA will cut them off. So, while we listen to this announcement in the background real quick here, when I was on my last flight, you know how in the Fenix, if you have a power transfer, it cuts off the passenger announcements? I mean, I always kind of knew that. It makes sense. It literally happened on my last flight. It was we were boarding. The lead flight attendant was doing the PA, and I switched us from GPU to APU power, and it cut her off. And like it actually took a second to come back. And she's like, "What'd you break?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And if I didn't know what the Fenix does, I wouldn't have known what she was talking about. That's how realistic flight sim is. I'm actually taking flight sim scenarios and applying them to real life because I was like, oh yeah, it's because we just switched the APU generator to the cut off the flight attendant. She thought I broke the PA. It's pretty neat. All right. Do I have to? I guess we do have to call for push, right? Salt Lake Center, Frontier 357 on the ground, Jackson Hole, request pushback and start.
Frontier Flight 357, pushback on taxi Alpha approved.
Pushback on Alpha approved, Frontier 357. All right, so pushback. Pushback system
Glacier, but realistically,
on.
like if we were flying in the real world right now, you're probably going to see some snow by chance. If they're reporting sky clear, I don't actually know when the staff is. Stand by.
All right, and let's get the regular cam up. Our tug is showing up here.
American 452 disregard.
Look at that beacon light, though.
SkyWest 3034 at Jackson Hole, ready for push and start.
No. Stay.
SkyWest
70 super.
Pushback on taxi Alpha approved.
Okay, first call sign tomorrow is going to be SkyWest 357 Super. I mean, if anybody's going to be a super, it's got to be SkyWest.
And flight 463, pushback on
all right.
taxi Alpha approved.
Pushback on Alpha, man, flight 463.
American 452,
here we go.
Just to calm your nerves a little bit, the snow is reported, I would assume, tomorrow.
That guy sounds like a Cowboys fan.
Okay, sounds good. 452.
Look at that. Wow, this livery, this is a huge, silky smooth livery. I feel like this is part of the livery. This is incredible detail. I don't remember the wing being this detailed on the fly-by-wire. This looks good. Does this look different to you? I mean, this looks juice.
Air Canada
A little bit of a wing wobble out there. I mean, this is the one without the window. I have one without the window, and I got the rest window views. Look at the reflection of the nav light. Oh my gosh, I love this sim. All right, we need to go on to Alpha, so we need to turn left. Nope, wrong way. Left. We need to go the other left. We're going to wait to start. Oh, the more you click it, the sharper it turns?
Pretty wild. They're getting snow. I'm down in Texas at 90 right now.
What?
Well, this is in Texas, sir. This is...
Oh, I know, but just the difference is wild.
Where's it snowing up in the
It's a funny
panhandle?
observation. I mean, we're up in the Rockies, we're up in Utah, and we're talking about Texas.
They don't call it the great state of Texas for nothing.
I beg to differ.
Must be a European.
New York.
Center American 5014 requesting taxi after.
Dude, this fly pad is the best fly pad I've ever seen in the sim. Are you kidding me? If I would have known, if I would have known this,
Once they start moving, I'll have you follow.
I don't think I ever would have reinstalled GSX. All right, pushback complete. Set brakes. Cockpit ground brakes are set. You're clear to disconnect. Show me the pin out front. We're gonna start them up. All right, let's go APU bleed. It's been 3 minutes. Engine mode to ignition start. All right, everybody be quiet. You're gonna love this. I'm gonna turn off the V-pilot. Shh, here we go. Okay, this no lie is getting me super excited for the 380. This is getting me more hyped for the 380, just flying this.
Canada 34 Heavy, verify the altitude is not maintain 15,000. It is flying via SID, except maintain 15,000.
Sounds like we've got a good start on 1. Stand by, wait for the avail.
Air Canada 34 negative. Fly via SID, except maintain 15,000.
Oil temperature 10 degrees. Bonus points if you know where, what time when it turns green. Starting 2.
431 50350.
Air Canada 34 Heavy, stand by. 10 431, Solid Center, all the way down below. Air Canada 34 Heavy, I need you to verify the keywords together. I need you to verify fly via SID, except maintain 15,000.
That's so good, so good.
Canada 34 Heavy, back in track, flight 2510, switch back to taxi officer.
53C. All right, so we've got a good start on number 2. Stand by, there it is. Avail, arm you. Arm you. Flaps 1, here they come. Ooh. Hold on, need a little bit of floodlight. All right, let's go. Yeah, Salt Lake Center, Frontier Flight 357, Alpha, ready taxi.
Frontier Flight 357, runway 19, follow Sky West.
19, follow Sky West, Frontier Flight 357. I almost said Southwest.
5014, runway 19, follow Frontier.
All right, brakes released.
Follow the Frontier American 5014.
Here we go. All right, on our taxi out, let's go ahead and run a flight control check. Flight controls, full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral, auto brakes, max, Auto, system 1. Where am I at here? I can't see. TARA. Oh no. Hold on. I can't see what I'm doing. It's too dark. TARA.
Flight
On.
attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
On, and we missed the flap lever, but that's back to flaps 1.
United 8537,
Takeoff conflict
breaker
check.
service terminated, change flash frequency period. Have a good day.
UWS is auto.
I would advise you 98537 yeah.
Just let's do a little flood like that. There we go. Beautiful. Alright, we hit 250 likes. You guys are awesome. It is pitch black out here at Cali Simmer. Yes, this is where you definitely get some illusions. That's good. We're nice and cozy. You know, I need to turn off. I've got one light on over here. I need to turn it off. Max juice. Hold on. See if I can do it.
I like in flight 463, short of 19, ready to go.
Alright. Hold on. Come back. Okay. I had to turn that light off. Now I feel more immersed.
French flight 2510, runway 19, taxi Alpha.
Yes, terrain works, but I don't have SimBridge installed. So it does not work for me. I don't know. I thought SimBridge used to give me like a memory leak. You know?
19 Alpha, 2510.
Yeah, flight 463, Jackson Tower, runway 19, clear for takeoff, wind 23011.
Black screen was just a
Takeoff
teaser for
19
this.
and flight 463.
You guys want to see night flight? Look at that. I would want to be a 727 taking off out here at night. Nah, bomb tech. It was a calculated move. So we'll get the flight attendant to be ready. All right, flight attendant's ready. Let's do a lineup checklist. Lineup checklist. Takeoff runway.
174 at Plage, cleared island.
19 confirmed. Fuel 13 required. 13.9 on board. Engine mode selector. Normal bleeds and packs are set. Standby on pack 1, pack 2. Matter of fact, to remind myself, let's turn the dome light on. So we're going to kill the packs when we line up for a packs off takeoff, so we get the maximum amount of yoga. Holding short here between the SkyWest Heavy.
SkyWest 3034, holding short, runway 19.
Did he just say SkyWest Heavy? He just said SkyWest
Skywest
Heavy.
7034, Jackson Tower, Roger. Hey, you guys are gonna wait.
Why do we have to wait? Why's my taxi light still on? What a noob move.
Okay, 34 Heavy.
There goes that 7-2.
Are you ready for pushback?
Now, is there weather radar?
Okay, stay there. French flight 2510, what are you gonna
Is there weather radar in this chaos? Like the default weather radar? Or is that also
Okay, French
SimBridge?
flight 2510, just make sure you start moving within the first 10 seconds of the taxi clearance. You need to be moving as soon as possible and not waiting at least a minute.
I got you tracking that, but I have an invisible tug, so it's just someone invisible before we take a ride.
That's okay. Just make sure if there's a problem, you just coordinate with ATC. But that's all. I just want to let you know the rules.
Oh, there is not. Okay.
Okay, 34 Heavy. There's going to be a Frontier bus that's going to be moving left
So,
to right on Alpha. Once
if you
see 10
caught the
passes,
earlier stream
push
today,
back
we
on
talked
Alpha
about
clearance.
the Frontier incident in Vegas. Placarded speeds. That's what they were using. I'm actually really impressed with this cockpit here. Stat MD. Uh,
1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. 1
Pretty good. We got the dome light on, though, just to remind us we got to kill the packs. Now, if only, like a true SkyWest professional, he's got his taxi light on while we are holding short.
452, expect RNAV runway 20 approach at Glacier, advise numbers and board.
Vodka died, Zippy? What happened? No, I see him. I see him. What happened to Vodka?
American 452, RNAV runway 20 approach.
Are they readable in the fly-by-wire? Yeah, they're readable. They're readable for me. If I'm at this zoom level, taxiway, landing weights, etc., etc.
American 452, clear direct Scott.
He had issues getting his gear up. Is he flying at night or in sunset?
And flight 463, radar contact to altitude.
I thought it was
Altitude passing 7,900 and flight first.
7,900.
463, roger, climb and maintain flight level 300.
He climbed 1,000
I
feet.
maintain 300 and flight first 3.
You can tell a 727 guy on frequency
Pilot
because he talks so fast because he's got 722 other things that he's got to do. So like talking to ATC, he's like, I gotta.
Alright, Buster flight 2510, just hold position, advise ready for taxi.
We'll do 2510.
Air Canada 34, heavy pushback, you can start your pushback now. American 452, cross Scott out about 1 to 1,000. That's Scott, third on runway 20, first Glacier, Cardinals under 29907.
Wait a second. Why is this following me around? That's crazy. It's because it's still the tug page. Wow, that's cool. All right, we got the SID. Let's put it back in night mode. Oh, won't go back to night mode? Oh, won't go back to night mode. Unacceptable. Oh, turn off the pushback system? Maybe, yeah. Turn off. Let's go back here. Oh. It's bugged. This must be something challenging because everybody's having issues with getting the proper charts. Like, what did we just fly where it's only night charts? And then for a while there was another airplane that you could only use night charts. Like, this must be no night mode. This is unflyable, though. Pin charts. What if I... How do I bring back the...
That was 7034, so I could have run a contact altitude.
Passing 75, Sky was 734.
There we go. Alright, well, it's got Vegas in night
That
mode.
was 7034, roger, climb maintain flight level 300.
Climb maintain 300, Sky was
Hey, there we go. We got it.
American 174, solid
Back
tower,
to
runway
full
34
screen.
right, clear to land, wind variable at 5. American 452, call over ID.
I mean, this is taking off in a black hole effect if I've ever seen it. Model matching has my taxi light on. Maybe that it was doing the same for that other guy. Maybe that's what it is. It doesn't show taxi light cycling. I don't know. It shows it off for you. Whoever's behind me. Whoever's behind me, turn it on. Flash your taxi light. It shows the you think my nav lights are off. Oh,
Frontier
look.
flight 377, Jackson Tower, runway 19, clear for takeoff, wind 22011.
Runway 19 clear for takeoff. Frontier flight 357. All right, pack 1, pack 2. That's on. Dome lights coming off. Slide them up. Here we go.
Sorry, a bit further.
Forecast call again.
Right now, 34. You're ready for that?
Canada 34 Heavy, Roger, runway 19, taxi Alpha.
Taxi Alpha for Canada 34.
All right, runway 19. That checks. Runway heading checks. Clear for takeoff. Are y'all ready? Nose forward on the stick. Spool them up 50 for maximum juice. Yoga. Oh, yes. Oh my word. Okay, we gotta get back in here. Man, Toga, SRS runway, auto thrust is blue. Gosh, this looks 80 knots, thrust set. 100 knots, check. Oh, the sounds are so epic. V1, rotate. Positive rate, you're up. Fly with. So bright. Let's just go back here. Lever climb.
Frontier Flight 357, calling center radar contact, tail.
Frontier Flight 357 passing 7.7 for 15,000.
Frontier Flight 357, Roger, climbing change, flight level 380.
Climb flight level 380, Frontier Flight 357. Alright, 380, we'll spool it in. Open climb, thrust climb, open climb. There is slat speed. Flaps 0. Look at that, you can see the road going up the mountain. This is an incredible looking livery at night. This looks really good. I'm very impressed. Oh, let's actually fly the airplane here before we stall it. Why would map partially be displayed? Interesting. All right, clean wing pack one's coming on. It's associated. And pack 2 is coming on. Out of 10,000 feet.
American 5014. Jackson Tower runway.
Alright, after takeoff checklists. Gears up, flaps up. Speed brakes are disarmed. Packs and bleeds are set. Look at that, though. My goodness. Oh, we're getting some rain. We're actually in the rain. Let's get the engine anti-ice on. Engine anti-ice is on. Because it is +5. We're going to wait CH until we're 10,000 above field on this one. Since it's a 7,000 foot field elevation. So right now we're really only about 4,000 feet above the ground. But this is, I mean, looking outside the window, instrument flying right here. There is no references outside. Keeping our eyes inside on the PFD. Sticking in the flight directors. But I agree. Let's go autopilot 1 and let's look at the rain on the window. Way cooler. Oh, it stopped raining. We're going to go ahead and leave the engine anti-ice on though, just because we are, I think, IMC. Now, let me see if this works. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this, I love doing this to check the lights. That is so cool. Because sometimes, now in the real airplane, these actually blend together here more in the middle. There's not quite this space of black in between the landing lights. So sometimes if you just turn them on both at the same time, it may seem like, is one burnt out or not? So then I'll come up here and I'll flick one on off. Flick the other one on off. Yeah, so they're both working. But that's cool. ETE to LAX. Let's see. LA. Did we forget a net or something? Hold on. I think we need to redirect us here. Give me a second, Zippy. Let's direct us to kick me. See if we get some new numbers here. Ooh, we're about to. Oh, look at that. We're breaking out. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that fixed the partially displayed issue to Chaos. That direct to. Alright, let's go ahead and there's our 10,000. Lights are coming off. Wing light. Forward call. Engine anti-ice can come down. I'll turn the sim sounds down now since we've been juicing out for the last 20 minutes. And we got another partially displayed. Magic Barrel Ref, pool for standards, STDs for you, me, and Chaos. And there we go, Chad. Beautiful. I gotta say, now there's another window here that I could bind. Where are you? Isn't there? I thought there was another window in the front. I guess not. So I've got this one middle, this one aft. Maybe I should have put this one. I don't know. Maybe I should have put it on the other side. But I don't know if this is a new like the way the detail on the livery, or what. But this wing looked way more detailed than what I was used to on the fly-by-wire. It just looked so good when we were on the ground, and the flap fairings and everything. Just so good. All right, AJ Fenard, thank you for the $3 super chat. It's those cheap LED car light headlight kits on eBay. Dude, I used to have the Xenon. I think they were called Xenon lights on my old Mustang. Those things were so bright, dude. Everyone would flash me for my high beams, and then I would just turn the high beams on, and you just see their faces light up. That's how bright those suckers were. All right, Zippy, we are. It's weird. Maybe it's a. It is weird. Let's give ourselves a direct ool again. Wait, where are we going? Oduce. Let's redirect us to Oduce. 698, 227 UTC. Time now is 0:43. So, how do we math that? An hour and 40 minutes, something like that, Zippy? Should we watch a green dot? We could watch a green dot on this flight. I think we should. I don't have it set up, but maybe we can pull one. Let's just enjoy this cockpit, though. Yeah, it looks cleaned up now, Kaz. Maybe it almost seemed like when we were hitting the waypoints, or maybe it was something with the SID. We'll see here. Right now, it seems to be functioning just fine. What did Tony John say? That's a juicy breakout. So much juice, you could be working for Dole. Let's watch the Pats and Jets highlights. Oh, Bill's Mafia. My goodness, don't get me started. Why are we saying goodbye to the Fly-by-Wire 320? Well, you know what? I might have to change the title of this stream, because I don't know if I'm going to say goodbye to the 320 after seeing this. That was despite the black hole effect at the very beginning of the stream, and despite the lack of GSX bringing in its juice for boarding, that was a very cinematic and a very beautiful departure. I was very impressed with that. I was very impressed with the graphical indications on that departure. And I'm just speaking to the airplane, like the lighting, the texturing, really good. Do I prefer night flying or day flying? Day flying, Tanner. I'll be honest with you. every now and then it's nice to mix up a night flight. Now, this is why we're going to LAX tonight, is because my last trip, I flew into LAX at night, and then we took off so early, it was basically night. No, it was actually still dark. Yeah, it was dark when we took off. And LA just has there's just the view when you come in especially on the Hollywood or the Angel, and you're coming in from the west, or excuse me, from the east rather, and you're descending down, you see the hills, and then all of a sudden it's just lights, because you have this big black spot where the mountains are. You got what's that little lake up there, Mammoth. You got the ski resorts. There's a few lights, and then you just see the sea of lights. And then if the visibility's good, you can see the airport from 50 miles out at night, maybe more depending on the visibility. And then all of a sudden it drops off into blackness again because of the ocean. And it's just cool, man. And when you're flying in, you're getting lower on the arrival. The airplane starts to glow, the cockpit starts to glow because of all the lights below you, all the light pollution. So I kind of wanted to see, I don't remember the last time we did a night flight into LAX, so I wanted to see how that is going to be represented here tonight. I want to hear you talk about Gulf Air 072. Which one was that, BombTech? I know Jeremy sent me one about the speed bed. You could watch a speed bed. Skystream, try the same thing with an exclamation point. Should pull it up for you. All I know is I need to drink water because I had 3 coffees today. Say Toga, yes. So we turned the packs off. Look, it did it again. It did it again, Chaos. That's weird. It's like something is not computing, or is it because maybe I have the radar on? Or I don't know why.
American 452 Glacier Tower Ride from like 20 for the line.
I don't know why that's happening. But packs on, packs off. So in any airplane, well, in any jet-driven airplane, rephrase that, any commercial airliner, as far as I'm aware of, except maybe the 787 because it's electric air, the bleed air from the engines. So the engines produce thrust. The airframe or the airplane takes bleed air that is producing thrust, redirects it to run systems on the aircraft, such as the packs or the pneumatic air cycle kits. So in layman's terms, the air conditioning is controlled by the bleed air from the engines. It does affect performance negatively when you are stealing air from the engine. So by turning the packs off, now the engines have 100% of the thrust available because you're not stealing or you're not tapping into the 13th stage compressor and taking thrust away from the engines by redirecting it to operate the air conditioning system. So if you do packs off, you get maximum thrust, but now you don't have any air conditioning and pressurization going into the airplane. You don't have the, let me rephrase that. You don't have the ECS system working with bleed air from the engines, so you need to turn them back on. Now in the Airbus, you can just turn the APU bleed on. If you do that, the APU bleed prioritizes its logic so that if the engines are running and the APU bleed is running, the packs will be powered by the APU bleed. Thus, the engines will be producing 100% thrust. So having the APU bleed on is the same thing in the Airbus as having the packs off, because you still get maximum thrust with the APU bleed on. But we shut the APU off on the departure. We try to do APU bleed off takeoffs, or APU bleed on rather, because it's more comfortable for the cabin. The packs are still running, especially if it's hot. It's just a much more enjoyable experience to do APU bleed on instead of packs off. But if the APU is in op, then you got to shut the packs off. Gulf Air with Spatial Destroyer. Bill's Mafia. I think we already did that one. Didn't we do that one, BombTech? I thought we did that one already. Cycle the range knob. Yeah, I tried that too. That's normally what that means. Map partially displayed, but it shouldn't be partially displayed with constraints on, because there's not that many constraints on. But what's weird is when I direct it. Let's see here. It's like it's freaking out at the arrival or something. That is kind of weird. Saw some non in the approach. Let me reload the approach.
Bravo to the gate. Remain as frequency. Have a good day.
Angel 4. Let's just do this real quick. We'll change the transition here, see if it does anything. We're 35 for 38. Climbing out pretty good. Zippy said, yeah, I cycled the range knob. No dice. No dice in the range knob. LS25 left. Approach via. Let's go. Hold on, let me go to our approaches. To approach, ILS 25 left. From should be Circus. And there's nothing preventing us from that on the Angel, right? Let's just make sure I'm not. Let's pull out the Angel 4 RNAV. Angel 4 Circus. Maybe I shouldn't do Circus. Let's see what it does this time. Now, it should have Circus in there for the approach via. If you don't have a question, when I attempt the Sydney to LAX, honor my original attempt to fly 7.4, or is it Speedbed 380 time? Ooh, I think chat should decide. 747 or Speedbird 380? It's got to be a Speedbird 380, Zippy. I would make the decision for you. It's got to be the Speedbird. Less than 1,000 to level off. Airport. Okay, so now look at this. Now it's all in there, and we got rid of that. So hold on a second. It might be because I think I found at least maybe why part of it's messed up. When I select the Circus transition, because Circus is on the star, it seemed to freak out. So Circus, Honda. So now let's go. Let's try this. We're going to try this one more time. Approach via Circus, insert, and we'll see if it fixes itself. We're mock out cruise leveling 380. Listen to that spool down. Alright, let's see here real quick. Survey says it seems to work. Oh, who's this pleb?
Just reach our cruising altitude for the flight. As we begin to settle in, I do want to remind you, please keep your feet and elbows clear from the aisle as the flight attendants will be coming through the cabin with galley cards shortly. Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating to the front of the alley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
I don't know who that guy is, but definitely sounds like a fake pilot. Zippy says, I guess I'm taking the economy bus to LA in an hour in honor of Speedbird 95 Tango Whiskey. Rip off the coast of Hawaii. Wait, so you can't go off... you can't go off the coast of Hawaii. You got to go zippy. You got to go full flight, man. 380. Maybe we should do that flight the opposite direction. Or maybe we should do the well, we can't do that because that's not didn't the Qantas operate Dallas to Sydney or Dallas to somewhere in Australia in a 380? Because I remember seeing 380s in DFW and they were like, yeah, it's like one of the longest routes a 380 does. I mean, LA to Sydney would be a hell of a flight, but I would literally have to set up the stream and go home. I can't do another 15-hour long haul, guys. That was so wild. All right, what we are going to do, though, we're going to increase our juice here. We're going to select 80. We're going to go ahead and turn off the seatbelt sign. You're now free to move about the cabin. And I kind of like this view here, chasing the sunset. Can I turn off the EFB? Is there a click spot to hide said EFB? I don't think so, right? Because it would look cool to turn it off. But that is just an incredible view right there. I like that. Let's get some night vibes. Can we dim them? I don't know. Fubar, you're absolutely right. That was the wildest part of a 17. I want to say that stream ended up being like 18 hours in total length. Just from takeoff to touchdown, from, you know, pre-flight, post-flight. But the dedicated viewers that literally sat at their computers or their phones or whatever through the night. Like, I fell asleep. And then I would kind of wake up every 40 minutes because I was sleeping on an air mattress in the office, like a crew bunk. And I'd still see people chatting. I mean, some serious dedication. Callie Simmer set an alarm clock for 3 o'clock in the morning to watch the landing live. It has a power off option, EFB drop down top right. Let's see, settings. Settings. Oh, can I just? Oh, there we go. Chaos. Okay, let's get some night vibes in here. Let's get some night vibe tunes. Let's turn that. This is gonna put me to sleep. I'm gonna turn down the cockpit a little bit. Noise canceling on. Actually, no. Let's try that again. All right. Noise canceling headset activate. All right. And if you're Cat 5, he's apparently always jamming out. No, we need like a, what do we need? Smooth jazz? I'll turn up my A&R another notch. That's cool. That's a cool shot. John Nola, thank you for the 33 months of support, dude. Appreciate you. It's a long time, man. Thank you so much for the support. I started that super late, went through the night till I crashed. Yeah, Zippy was there. I think, what time did we start that flight? I don't even remember, because I went on a, didn't I go to dinner? I think I went to dinner with the wife. And then I came back, did some other stuff. We did the Malaysia 3. I don't even remember doing the Malaysia 777 video breakdown. That was literally, I think, at 1 or 2 o'clock local time for me. But I know we did it. I just don't remember what was said. Mickey said I watched all of it and fell asleep for the last 45 minutes and missed the landing. Yeah. Well, I still have it recorded. Maybe we should watch. Oh, I don't have it on this PC, I don't think. Yeah, it's on my other PC. Gonna have to do that again. Honolulu SFO DC6. How long would that take in the DC6? That's got to take, what, 10 hours?
Clearance to Seattle, Tacoma, please.
Probably longer, right? 12 hours?
Jackson ground clear
In a
Seattle
DC6?
Airport Alpha for departure, Idaho Falls, transition as followed. Flying via SID, accept between 15,000, clock 3103.
It was a
That's
live
all 29
exclusive on the
clear to
landing.
Seattle via Alpine 4 departure, Idaho Falls transition done as well. Climb via SID,
Vodka said, here's what happened.
And Skulk 3106.
Gear lever was unbound from the Bravo and bound to a separate gear lever, so the gear didn't come up on climb out. Stick shaker. Who's that for? Uh-oh. Who's that for? Wow. Hey, at least you got it up. Were you in Aerosucra? Dougal, you still think the DC-6 is one of the best in the sim? I might have to take... I mean, does it have a modifiable autopilot? Like, can I turn it on and just let it do its thing and walk away from it? You stopped the stream because of the time limit and almost live got to see it. Yeah, AJ, I didn't stop it. The YouTube will not allow playback of what, 10 hours? I think 10 hours max is YouTube playback. But no, I wasn't going to start and stop the stream, man. It's epic. Hey, Miggs is in the house. 12 hours, 12-hour cutoff. I remember making a lot of coffee on that flight, no questions asked. Miggs, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. You know what's crazy is I didn't even remember that until you said that, but now I remember a lot because I was so tired. Yeah, throughout the night, you were just like, here's another pot of coffee. And I mean, the Malaysia 370 video is like, I don't know, probably an hour long. And normally we take, if it's a 30-minute green dot, we take about an hour to break it down. So it must have been a long breakdown. It doesn't have an autopilot source. It has gyro pilot. Okay, so can you turn gyro pilot? Just have gyro pilot fly the whole thing. There's no release time yet for the 380. I keep trying to get Chaos to tell me, but he's being a stickler. What do we got down there? Is that Salt Lake? Is that home of Jeremy Harvey? I think that is. I think that's Salt Lake. Look at the reflection up here. This is so real life. Oh no, that's TCH. Where's Yeah, that is Salt Lake. That is Salt Lake down there. That's home of Jeremy Harvey. It's time to start Green Dot Qantas flight. Oh, is that the... So I'm saving the Qantas flight for, yeah, for like a 380 flight. A long haul. Chaos doesn't know how long it will take to upload. Lauren, are you going to be fully staffing the Iveo Premium networks? Or I'm sorry, you're a VATSIM controller. Are you going to be stacking... Are you going to be on VATSIM tomorrow? What's your 45K sub plan? Blast right through it until we hit 50K? I don't know. What should we do for 45K? Moto, I fly the Airbus at Southwest Express. I fly the 380 at Southwest Express. Last 2 days of the year, I'm going to go biking down the river. Lauren, so this is where I'm at. Like, tomorrow's one of the last good days for me as well to go out and do some pre-fishing because it's going to get cold and then I got to work and then the lake's off limits. So if they don't release it at a decent hour, I'm going to be very upset because I will be giving up my last day to do that. I'm going to say if there's not a release or an expectation of release by like 11 o'clock in the morning, local central time, I might have to pull a pin. Pop smoke. Miggs, thanks for the $10 super chat, man. Appreciate you. Speaking of videos, did you see Mentor Pilot's new one? Oh, I haven't watched it, but it's been on my list. Obviously, we know which one's better. Yes, Miggs, thanks for the $10 super chat, man. It's popped up like 3 or 4 times on my feed. I think I'll watch it tonight after the World Series, maybe. Maybe I'll watch it during the World Series because baseball's pretty much a snooze fest. But yeah, I got to see. I'm curious. Don't tell me what he said. But I'm gonna watch it. It's on my list to watch, Mix. Thank you again for the 10 Canadian, man. Appreciate you. I think the chances aren't too bad for that 11 Central is pretty late UTC-wise. That's what I'm thinking, right? Uh-oh, we've got a mountain wave. I have control. I'll set our Frontier Flight 357. Go ahead, Frontier Flight 357. Yeah, I just want to report Mountain Wave here at 380. We got a loss of 15 knots. Frontier Flight 357, Roger, thanks for the report. I come here to say if you want baseball is mid. Daniel, yes, there's going to be a Euro Tour Part 2. There's got to be. That's a point. Speedbed, Kennedy to London, Heathrow. We can infiltrate all of the European airspace with a bunch of speedbeds. I'm an A318 pilot for Panda Express. Jasper, pandas aren't real. Yeah, let's see how much we got here. Let's see how much time we got. 2:22 time now. I think we can do it. Should we break down a green dot? Let's do it. Let's set ourselves up. But we don't have a... Where should we do it? Where should we do it from the jump seat? Because we can't really do it from here because we don't have a seat in front of us. Should we do it from the jump seat view? Oh my gosh, it's so dark in here. I mean, that's kind of a hot shot right there. The German controllers aren't big fans of you. They're not big fans of me either. We've had our experience with German ATC. It's pretty wild. Let's see. Green dot aviation. Yeah, what do we got? British Airways flight that went dark. I think that sounds appropriate. I think we'll do that one. Ooh, that's his latest one.
UK.
All right. I think we're going to do some green dot. I'm ready for a movie. You guys ready for a movie? All I can say is that video introduced me to the backup speed scale, and it's honestly awesome. Yes. Yeah. The backup speed scale is freaking awesome, dude. And we use it in training. We use it during our... gosh, I can't think of the name of the sim. I've been drawing a blank on it. But we do one dedicated sim every 2 years. It's all alternate methods of navigation, flight control handling, all that stuff. And that is one of them. It's the backup speed scale use. So we do a hold departure and everything, and do an approach with it.
With Bravo clearance to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, the 431 radar service terminated. Change to advisory frequency.
The music's gonna put me to sleep. Let's get our green dot out. Logo lights. My man, thank you for the 22 months support, dude.
431 radar service terminated. Change to advisory frequency.
I gotta undo the alert box. Gotta be New Zealand to Sydney. I think we could do that. I think that would be a good. I think that would be a good flight. That would be really scenic. Scenic. What about Sydney to NZAA? Going the other way, you know? Can we do that? All right, in-flight entertainment. Give me a second to turn this on here. Turn on my TV screen.
4302 in the box.
Delta 2282, the big after Alpine 4 is Chickney, then our phone.
Okay, Alpha 4 kicked me, and then that's wow for Delta 2282.
Hold on, I gotta pick a frame where I can see the whole image. Oh yeah, we gotta. Give me a second. I'm configuring in-flight entertainment. Please stand by. Wow, I thought his image was my sim. Do you see what I'm talking about? Is that not trippy? Because the video of Green Dot is a sunset approach. Oh, that's trippy. Okay, I gotta go somewhere where I can see like an actual image somewhere. Let's do this. Let's go like right here so I can see the size of the screen. That was crazy weird. And do that. put him there.
United 1229, ground Jackson, short of Alpha with Bravo ready to taxi.
There we go. That should work for now. A pseudo green dot. Real live editing in process.
1229, runway 19, taxi Alpha.
Are we still in this guy's airspace? I don't know why it's not aligned. Zippy. It should be.
Surface 3 after India, Salt Lake Center on guard. If you hear the transmission, contact Salt Lake Center 125.57.
There. Is that a better? All right. Okay, let's see. First and foremost, are we still in this guy's airspace? Let me check here. Where are? Yes, we are. We are still in Salt Lake Center airspace. All right. I'm still cutting off two sides. Oh, yeah. Well, it's. You know what, Zippy? If you would have just given me a proper screen. There. Those controls will go away once I hit play. So. There we go. I think that's aligned now. Should be good to go. Lock it in. Miggs! Another 10 Canadian. Oh no, is Miggs brewing the coffee tonight? Miggs, one of these days you'll get us that green dot fake sim overlay. He's been barbecuing ribs and watching the game the past 2 hours. What do you mean he's PIC? Yes, that would be the way to go. That would be the way to go. I actually need to fire up some ribs this weekend. It's been a while since I've done some ribs. But appreciate the Mig. Thank you, Miggs. Thanks for the $10 super chat. While I'm in active pause. Yes, I'll be in active pause, barbecuing ribs and watching the game. Exactly. That's how it's going to go down, Miggs. Thanks again for the $10 super chat. All right, we're going to watch a totally new green dot that I have not seen yet. I'm not sure what happened on this one. Emergency electrical configuration at some point. Let's find out together. Let me make sure the sounds are up. Everything else is down. Here we go. Audio checks. Ooh.
Takeoff,
Speed bad.
31364, Ogden, ground, no flight plan.
297, contact underscore 134, decimal 125. Goodbye.
Hold up. Is that not crazy? The sunset and the sim are exactly the same right now. That's really cool. Oh, geez, I thought that was our airplane.
Moments after takeoff from London Heathrow, a British Airways flight is plunged into darkness. With nothing to guide him but the faint horizon out the window, the captain struggles to keep his plane flying level. 82 lives hang in the balance as the pilots try to figure out what to do next. What you're about to see is a story about how people make decisions under pressure, and it's a story about the forces that influence their decisions. This is the story of British Airways Flight 870.
Yes. All right, British Airways 870, 319, speed bad. Man, the sounds threw me off when everything shut off. I thought it was our airplane. Everything's good. Should I disconnect? I can't turn these guys down. A lot of chitter chatter on Salt Lake Center tonight. Everyone needs to be quiet. I'm trying to watch a video. All right, here we go.
It was a cold October's evening in 2005 when 76 passengers and 6 crew boarded a British Airways Airbus
A month to the
A319
decade.
at London's Heathrow Airport.
There's Zippy.
The flight, designated as Flight 870, was bound for Budapest, the capital city of Hungary. On board were a mixture of tourists travelling to see the historical European city and Hungarians returning home from the UK. The journey was expected to take about 2.5 hours. In command of the flight was an experienced captain. At 53 years old,
what do we got?
he'd racked up almost 12,000 flying hours in his time as a pilot,
Very nice.
4,000 of which were on the Airbus A320 series aircraft.
Let's see the rest of that say. Previous rest period 16 hours. Captain reported for duty at 11:35, and at the time of the incident had been on duty 7 hours and 51 minutes. So he's pretty much right in the middle of his duty period there. Nothing crazy about that. Looks like they're just doing maybe one and done tonight. Maybe they flew in. I'm not sure, but decently experienced. No flags there.
Flying hours in his time as a pilot, 4,000 of which were on the Airbus A320 series aircraft. Before this, he had flown the medium-hull Boeing 757 and 767.
Probably
Sitting
not
to
for
his
Delta.
right was a 29-year-old first officer. By comparison, she was relatively new to flying, with just 2,000 total hours, almost all of which were on the A320 family.
Okay, so 2,000. Wait, hold on. 2,000 total, 1,780. So she's only at 200 hours before getting on the 320. That is crazy. That's the European model of flight training, right? There's no 1,500-hour rule. In the U.S., you can't even touch an airliner until you have 1,500 hours minimum. Good luck now. Probably need 2,000, 3,000. Just a difference in experience. But remember, that's what the Airbus was designed for. The A320 was designed for low-time pilots to not kill themselves and passengers. So still pretty junior airplane, but she's got decent. I mean, she's almost 2,000 hours on the bus. I mean, she should have a handle on it by now. Plenty of rest, 24 hours, 7 hours, 46 minutes on duty. So I guess maybe they must have flown in and then they're flying out. 2 legs or something.
Pilots receive extensive training on a whole range of emergencies, from engine failures during takeoff to rapid decompressions and smoke and fire on board the aircraft, among many others. They are also rigorously tested on their knowledge and skills every 6 months in highly realistic full-motion flight simulators. But what happens when a crew is presented with an emergency which they have never faced before? An emergency in which the aircraft behaves in ways which the manufacturer had not envisaged.
Ooh.
As the 2 pilots completed their pre-departure preparations, they had no idea that just minutes after takeoff, they would experience exactly this type of emergency.
All right, so this is intriguing to me. Now, remember, I haven't seen this video at all yet, so I don't know what this is. So I'm watching it with you for the first time together. So I'm very intrigued. Let's see what happens. Obviously, something is going to happen that is not supposed to happen, which is interesting.
How they responded in the heat of the moment could make the difference between life and death.
He needs to wreck that standby attitude indicator.
Just after 8 o'clock, Flight 870 pushed back from its gate at Heathrow. On board were 82 passengers and crew and just over 13 metric tons of fuel.
All right, shout out to Green Dot, though. Make sure you do subscribe to his channel, comment, like the video. Him allowing us to do this here is really cool. So just a little shout out to Green Dot as he has a little subscribe button on. 13,000 kilos of fuel in the push. Let's go.
The pilots started the engines
and
began navigating Heathrow's maze of taxiways out to the active runway. The captain would be flying the aircraft to Budapest on this evening, and he had something of a challenge in store when he got there. He had reviewed the weather forecast back at the gate, and the conditions at Budapest were less than ideal. It was foggy, with clouds hanging just 200 feet above the airport, visibility as low as 500 meters, and the possibility of rain later in the evening.
So pretty much Cat 1 ILS
that was something
minimums.
the pilots could concern themselves with further down route. For now, they just had to get the plane airborne.
Probably plenty of gas to go to the alternate, shoot the approach, etc., etc. So, I mean, nothing crazy. It's just a standard day. You got low weather. I mean, when we flew to LA the other night, it was that we had 2 alternates actually. We had, I've lost all my chat box again. This happened again on Chrome. Why is this happening? I've lost all of my stuff. Are you guys still there? Yeah, you're still there. I don't know why this happens. Give me a second to reconfigure, y'all. Like I lose the chat box and everything. It's an AMD problem. Pretty sure it is. I've never had issues with Chrome until I got an AMD, so it's definitely an AMD issue. But yeah, so when we flew to LA, we had 2 alternates. We had San Diego and Vegas. That's us. Thanks for the ATCs. Yep. All right, over to 22.8 on Unicom. But yeah, we had a ton of gas, but there's nothing, I mean, you're not really worried about it. The visibility at their time of arrival was quarter mile. I think it was like 600 or 800 RVR or something like that. And that was just that marine layer that was hanging around. By the time we got there, though, it actually burned off and we saw everything at 200.5. But so he's got the fuel, Pretty standard
climbing
day.
through London's famously busy airspace up to cruising altitude. Before we continue, I want to give a quick mention to this video's sponsor, War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. When I say
Zippy's favorite game, War Thunder. But we'll let him run through this ad real quick here. Use Firefox? Really? Forget Chrome, use Brave? I don't even know what that is. I used Firefox for years, had a problem using up all my memory. Yeah, I don't know. I've never had an issue with Chrome. Like, was there an update or something? Because I've never had an issue.
Setup to play
Never.
Either. All you need is a mouse and keyboard.
Russia's favorite spy tool.
At 20 minutes past
Here we
8,
go. We're
the
lined
captain
up.
lined his aircraft up on the runway and set takeoff thrust. Despite all of the automation in the modern cockpit, the takeoff has remained more or less a manual affair. As the aircraft accelerated, the captain kept it on the runway centerline using the rudder pedals, and then, once he had reached what's known as rotation speed, he pulled the side stick gently backwards until the plane's nose rose into the air. Less than a minute after beginning its takeoff roll, Flight 870 was airborne. The first officer raised the landing gear, and then retracted the flaps as the aircraft climbed and accelerated.
Did you hear that, Vodka? They raised the landing gear.
Not long after takeoff, the captain engaged the autopilot. In London's busy airspace, there's not much room for imprecision, and autopilots have been doing a better job than humans in that regard for decades. But with the reliance on automation that such technological advancements encourage, there is still something to be said for going back to basics from time to time.
Absolutely. Been saying this for a long time. You got to keep the hand flying skills sharp. Now, Europe has quite the infatuation with getting rid of pilots in cockpits, whether it's single pilot, whether it's no pilots. I don't know why. I guess it's money driven. That's the only thing that makes sense, but I don't understand the infatuation with removing it down to at least one crew member. Hopefully this video shows why it's good to have two people up there. Let's see.
The reasons
It is common, though, to turn the autopilot on RNAV departure. Some airports actually have an RNAV all users page, Miami being one of them. I'm sure 90% of you in the chat don't know this, but the attention all users page for RNAV departures in Miami state that the autopilot should be turned on as soon as practical for departure because there's such tight windows in there coming out of Miami's airspace with arrivals and Fort Lauderdale just north of them that they want the autopilot on. So, plus you got all the crazy Aero Sucre guys flying their 7.2s in there. They want the autopilot on for those guys, too.
for this are about to become abundantly clear. Flight 870's routing would bring it out over the town of Clacton, on the UK's east coast, and then over the North Sea, before making landfall over the Netherlands, and then proceeding deeper into the European continent, reaching Budapest at around 10:30.
So basically going from Abilene, or going from Amarillo, Texas to Houston. Maybe not quite that far.
For the first few minutes, everything on board was normal. Destination weather notwithstanding, the skies above London were perfectly clear.
Beautiful sunrise.
Passengers sitting by the windows were treated to excellent views of the distinctive London City skyline as the plane travelled east. Air traffic control had cleared the flight to climb up to 23,000 feet, and the pilots were expecting to be cleared to their final cruising altitude soon. But just 8 minutes after takeoff, as the plane neared the coast, something completely unexpected happened. In the cockpit, there was a loud clunk, and the lights went out.
Whew.
Flight 870 had gone dark.
That gets me every time. So, what's interesting is in my electrical emergency that I had in the A320, same kind of sound. Now, we were flying in the middle of the day VFR, but we did lose momentarily all screens. I lost my three, but they came back within probably 3 seconds. But those 3 seconds where everything goes dark, it is like, what? So to have everything go dark up there, I can't imagine the sticker factor or like the shock factor of that.
The pilots were shocked. The first officer's immediate thought was that the engines had failed, but with the plane still climbing, this appeared not to be the case. The captain grabbed his side stick and the thrust levers and began flying the aircraft manually. All of the plane's automation had been disabled by the catastrophic loss of electrical power. The captain had trained for electrical...
Dougal, yeah, the cabin lights would go depending if they were on. So a lot of times, remember, the cabin lights are dimmed or off anyway, at least in the U.S. For, takeoff and landing, the cabin lights are off or dimmed really low. But if they go to the emergency electrical configuration, then yes, the cabin is shed of the lighting. Now, the the emergency escape path lighting is photoluminescent, so it's not electrically powered, so you would still have the emergency path lighting illuminated.
Problems in the simulator, but those scenarios had simply not prepared him for the problems that he now faced. Without his primary flight display, he had lost vital information about the plane's speed, altitude, and attitude. Without his navigation display, he had lost any clear sense of where he was and what other aircraft were around him. The captain should have been able to use the small standby instruments to see the plane's attitude, speed, and altitude. Basic information which is absolutely essential.
I wonder if he had the old school ADI like he has in this picture here. I don't know what the actual, I mean, it's 2005, very possible. So you don't even have the ISIS in this case. You're looking at the old school round gauge ADI and airspeed indicator. Definitely much more difficult to fly on those than it is on the ISIS. The ISIS is basically a PFD. It's a mini PFD. You get all the information instantaneously in one scan. When you have to use these instruments down here, you have to maintain that instrument scan, but in a smaller area, in an area that you're not used to looking. It is challenging. I've done it in the sim, and it's nowhere near as easy as using the ISIS.
Essential for pilots. But contrary to what Airbus had promised, the lights which illuminated these instruments were not working.
Ooh.
Without a single instrument to rely on, the captain now had to fly his state-of-the-art aircraft with nothing to guide him but the view out his window.
Look out the window, baby.
In the dead of night, this wasn't an easy task.
Oh, but it's pitch black, huh?
The only instrument still working in the cockpit was the lower display unit, and it told a story that did not bode well for the aircraft.
Oh.
The captain tried to declare an emergency to air traffic control, but in the stress of the moment, he pressed the red autopilot disconnect button on his side stick, rather than the push-to-talk button on the front of the side stick. When he realized his mistake.
That's very interesting. Where is the push-to-talk button in the 7576? It's on the yoke, right? Isn't it on the top of the yoke? So you would use your thumb to talk? Well, actually, I don't know. Where is the push-to-talk in the 75? I actually don't know. I'm asking. I'm curious if it's a thumb press. I wonder if he reverted to his other aircraft.
Mistake, and tried again using the correct button, he got no response. The aircraft's radios had been another
all
casualty
dark.
of the power loss.
Column 1's out. Very interesting.
High over the UK, the pilots were on their own. Back on the ground, controllers knew that something odd was happening somewhere in the skies above Clacton. British Airways Flight 870 had disappeared from radar. The air traffic controller responsible for the flight radioed the pilots, but he was met with silence. If the flight had just lost its transponder, it would disappear from radar, but it would still be contactable over the radio. The fact that it was no longer on radar and was not responding to radio calls raised serious red flags at air traffic control. In the cockpit, the pilots were having communication problems of their own. The flight deck is a noisy place, with wind hitting the airframe at hundreds of kilometers per hour and computer fans whizzing constantly. To make communication easier, pilots talk to each other through noise-cancelling headsets.
Not me. I use the regular ship sets for my entire career on the Airbus until last year. Is the first year I switched to a noise reduction headset. And yes, it makes everything much easier, but I mean, there's really no issue communicating with no headsets on in the 320. The 320 is actually one of the quieter airplanes without headsets on. So they should be able to communicate just fine. But if they're not used to it, then that's a factor that you're not used to. If you've constantly been using noise reduction headsets your whole time and now you got to take them off, then it might be a little bit of a shock value, especially if you're lower altitude. They're not even, 24,000 feet yet. So it's definitely a little bit louder down there, but should have no problem communicating.
But without power, these headsets had now become useless. The pilots had to raise their voices to hear each other
very interesting
speak
electrical
and
failure.
somehow develop a plan to restore power to the aircraft and get it back on the ground.
They need the
pressure they
auto
were
switching.
under was immense, and at this point, they still had no idea what was wrong with their aircraft. In the back, the passengers also found themselves in the dark.
There you go. So that's what you're going to be looking at. You got the photoluminescent emergency exit lights. Those are not electrical, and it looks like you got some power to the PSU. I'm not sure if the PSU would actually be lit up here. It might just be all black. I'd have to double check.
The main cabin lights had lost their power supply, and now only the emergency lights lit up the cabin. The passengers' only source of information about what might be going on was the cabin crew. But with the interphone system unpowered, the cabin crew couldn't
Yeah, they
get
need
through to the
essential.
pilots.
They need to turn on the essential bus overhead.
Even facing the immediate threats coming
Right
from within the
here.
aircraft, the
on
captain
the
also
top,
had
the
to
overhead
consider
here.
the threats from the outside. His last clearance from air traffic control had been to climb to flight level 230, about 23,000 feet. This was the only altitude which could guarantee that he wouldn't collide with another aircraft. As he recalled, he'd been climbing through about 19,000 feet when the power was lost.
Okay, so he's climbing through 19, lost power. He's worried about other traffic. Honestly, that's probably the least of my worries at this point. AJ says, got the $5 supercharge, thank you. Who would have thought a British craft with electrics issues? Probably some garbage Lucas Electrics at fault. Oh, man, thanks for the $5 super chat, AJ. Appreciate you. This is, I pretty sure they do not have AC Essential auto switching. So this is an option in the Fenix that you can turn on. You notice whenever I configure my Fenix, I turn on AC Essential auto switching. Almost, I think our entire fleet now is retrofit with this. So it will automatically power the Essential through the push button on the overhead without having to push it. It's an auto switch over. Whereas before, you used to have to come up and hit the push button on the overhead to repower the systems. Now, what's interesting about the ECAM that he was showing, and I'm pretty sure he showed that ECAM for a reason, is because the way that the steps were laid out, it looks like that's not on the ECAM and that's not the priority. So this is very interesting. Again, remember, we learn from accidents, incidents all the time. This being early 2005, Airbus obviously learned something from this because there have been changes since this that I can tell you right now, just looking at this video. It wouldn't happen like this, or it shouldn't happen like this anymore with the new things that we have in place and how Airbus has upgraded and come along. But yeah, you're climbing out of 19,000 feet. All screens go black. Honestly, I'm not too concerned about the altitude because I'm just trying to keep the airplane in the right side up, right? Especially if you have no visual reference. I don't know if he's keeping it sunset here or sunrise rather for video purposes, but if it's all dark outside, then yeah, I'm more concerned with keeping the wings level and just really not even touching the side stick, because if it was flying when the power went out, it's still flying right now. So don't disturb it and just let it fly and try to work through this problem here. So we'll continue on. Gus says, wasn't this bus an EIS-1 and very old? Yes, that's why I'm assuming they don't have it, Gus. I haven't seen this video, Gustavo, but I'm assuming that's exactly what's going on. EIS-1, no AC Essential auto switching, and that's also why they had the old ADI and stuff like that.
Which meant that he had another 4,000 feet to go before he could level off. Squinting through the darkness, the captain could just about make out the standby instruments. Even though they weren't lit, the instruments at least appeared to be working. They would give him some idea of his altitude, speed, and attitude. While the captain flew the aircraft, the first officer began making her way through the checklist, which had now appeared on the lower display unit. Following procedure, the first officer read each checklist item aloud, including the action she was supposed to take. This was then confirmed by the captain.
Hold on, what did she show here?
The first officer read each...
So audio switching select, ATC transponder system blower override. That's interesting.
Checklist item aloud, including the action she was supposed to take.
I have seen this arrow. You guys know what this arrow means. How do you get to the bottom of this arrow? This means you've got more systems displayed that are in op. It can't show them all. So I've seen this. I saw this in real life, and you're like, wow, it's definitely a saturation effect comes over you when you realize you have so many ECAMs to work through. But this is interesting here, the way this is laid out. I wonder why the EPR's out, the FADEC out. That's crazy.
This was then confirmed by the captain before she carried out the action. The pilots were overwhelmed, but they had to go about solving the aircraft's problems systematically.
Right, that's how you're trained.
One false step, and they could make this bad situation much worse.
So you got to go through, clear each
Even though the
system.
display unit showing the checklist was working, the darkness in the rest of the cockpit meant that the buttons and switches mentioned in the checklist were extremely difficult to find. With almost 2,000 hours on the aircraft, the first officer was intimately familiar with the layout of the overhead panel, but in nearly pitch darkness, it became almost impossible for her to make sure that she was making the right selections.
That's something you don't think about. If you don't have lighting on the overhead, I mean, you guys see how dark it is in here. Like, if I turn this, I mean, look, how are you going to, that's a very interesting point. Yeah, you can't see. What are you going to click? Very interesting.
Checklist, double and triple checking everything she did. As part
One
of the
at a
checklist,
time,
she had to
slowly,
switch the
by
engines
slowly.
to a more manual setting,
So she's
where
got
the
a...
speed of the engines was directly controlled by the position of the thrust levers.
Okay, so this is I've had this fault in real life. You've had a FADEC, or you've had an EPR 1 fault. Okay, so what you have to do now is you got to revert to N1 mode. But even though you have one faulted, you got to put both engines to rated N1 mode. You're either going to be in rated or unrated N1. If you're in an unrated mode, you can overboost the engines. You can damage the engines. You got to be very careful. My particular failure, we were still rated N1 mode. All we had to do was go up here and put there's two switches up at the top right of the overhead where your dual cooling push button would be in that area where you would do your manual start and you would select N1 mode. Again, that's only for the IE V2500 because you use EPR. You basically just get rid of the EPR on both so you can control the engines old school way with N1s. And you want to make sure they're both in the same way of controlling, even if you just have one faulted.
Unlike Boeing pilots, Airbus pilots don't get much hands-on time with the thrust levers.
True, especially back in 2005. It was all about automation, right? Andre says, doubt they had phones with flashlights. Keep that in mind. True, but you do have 2 emergency flashlights easily accessible. You've got one at your shin level here, which is a standard flashlight that you can use. I've used it many times, use it on walkarounds, etc. And then you also have an emergency flashlight just to your aft, off your right-hand side here, which is monitored by maintenance, and they have to change the batteries every so often. That's part of the cockpit inspection. You want to make sure that that's not expired. There's no expiration date on that. So in this scenario, you could select either one of those flashlights. There should be a total of 4 flashlights on this flight deck if they need them.
These are controlled by the autothrust system for almost the entirety of the flight. While this may help reduce pilots' workload in normal operations, when it comes to emergencies like this, it can leave pilots lacking at this basic aspect of flying, simply operating the engines. As the captain continued to climb to flight level 230, his right hand adjusting the thrust levers, a nearby aircraft was trying to contact him over the radio at the request of air traffic
Probably
control.
try to call him on guard.
But just like the controller, it couldn't get through. Over a minute had now passed since the loss of power, and concerns were beginning to grow about what was happening on board Flight 870. As useful as the electronic checklist was, this particular one had a serious flaw.
There we go, AC bus 1 fault.
Each of the items that the first officer had completed thus far was related to restoring or reconfiguring particular subsystems which had been lost. Buried all the way at the bottom of the checklist,
Look at that.
which the first officer would have to scroll down to, was the item which would restore power to the aircraft. This involved switching it over to an alternate electrical supply. What this meant was that the checklist that Airbus designed had left the pilots quite literally in the dark, flying manually at night with nothing to go on but the horizon out the window. If this
kind of reminds me of the Soli incident, right, when they crashed in the Hudson. What was one of the last things on the checklist was to start the APU. What did Soli do out of order? He started the APU after they had issues immediately, and that actually helped save them, get that airplane on the ground, because they had normal engine indicating they had normal indicating systems all the way down to the impact because he started the APU. Had he have not done that, that second gen pops offline, rat pops out, would have been more of an issue. So again, skipping ahead of the checklist and Soli's incident, which was what, 2001? Was a big deal, did the right thing. You never really want to skip items in a checklist until that situational would be beneficial to do so. So it's a very touchy subject. You don't just want to go skipping through items, but you can't cover every situation. This is another one of those situations where it looks like the proper ECAM for the essential bus fault is there, it's just buried at the bottom. So all this time they are doing this in the dark without references to anything else, and they're not communicating to anybody. So that was 2009, not 2001, my bad. 2009. Was that? Yeah, it was 09, my bad. Jeff Skiles was cooking, yeah.
This item had been put at the top of the checklist, the pilots would have been able to restore power to the aircraft immediately. This design had unnecessarily put everybody on board in danger. But there was no time for discussions of checklist philosophy in the cockpit of Flight 870. The first officer pushed the alternate button, and power was restored to the aircraft. A warm, familiar glow returned to the flight deck as the lighting kicked in and the screen.
That's a sigh of relief.
The pilots were massively relieved. They were now back in a situation which was at least faintly recognizable. But relieved as the pilots were, their minds were still racing with questions. What had caused the loss in power? Could it happen again? And if it did, what else might go wrong? they needed to assess the situation quickly.
I'd probably
develop a
start
plan to
coordinating
ensure
the
the safety of
diversion
the
right about
aircraft.
now.
The captain saw that he was now approaching flight level 230, the last level he'd been cleared to by air traffic control. He leveled off and then reconnected the autopilot. The auto thrust still wasn't working, so he needed to handle the thrust levers manually. But still, the return of the autopilot had brought...
I mentioned the APU earlier, but you missed it in chat. So the APU, so here's the thing. If you go all dark like that, Mr. Martini, there is a potential that you are sitting on a dual generator failure. They don't know. I guess they weren't sure. The problem with starting the APU willy-nilly is that if you are above, depending on the brand of APU, 2260, and you attempt to do a battery start, you're not going to start the APU and you're going to drain the rest of your power. So you don't just want to go willy-nilly with the APU start because if you don't know if you're on generator power or not. I'm not sure if that was in the thought process or not. Maybe they said, okay, don't start the APU because it doesn't say so. Now, had they have started the APU in this situation, I'm sure it would have been just fine because they had both generators running. But it's got the essential fault, so I'm not sure if it would actually kick over. It probably would have started it off the battery bus, though. I think it would have started. I'd have to look at the schematic. I'm not sure in this situation without the essential push button pushed would the APU battery power on. But anyway, regardless of the situation, what I was trying to get to Mr. Martini is you got to be careful with the willy-nilly I'm starting the APU, because if you do it at high altitude with the dual gen failure, you might have just, kissed your ass goodbye because you're not going to be able to start it again. You can start it on a single gen, which is what happened to me in my emergency. We lost one generator, single generator first thing, APU's coming on. Get a second generator online. Had you go dual gen, you got to wait. You either got to descend, or as the ECAM will direct you, it will actually direct you to do a windmill start or a windmill if you need to, if you lose engines, what have you. So just keep that side note in the back of your mind for
brought him some
APU.
precious time to think. He handed over control to the first officer while he began reviewing the situation. First, he contacted air traffic control, issuing a PAN call, which is one step down from a mayday. Controllers were relieved to hear from the flight and to see it back on their screens. They instructed the captain to continue flying straight ahead at his current altitude. But the captain was concerned about the state of his aircraft. Power may have been restored, but he was still unsure why it had gone off in the first place. And what's more, there was still plenty of systems which weren't working.
Yeah, let's
the
get
least
the
of which
airplane
was the
pointed towards an
autothrust.
airport at this point.
It didn't seem safe to let the aircraft continue flying out over the sea,
Love
away
that
from
390.
suitable airports. The captain told the controller that he needed to turn back over land, and he was then instructed to turn onto a heading of 290 degrees back west towards London.
All right, so we're turning around.
In order
Things
to
are
give
looking
himself
up.
more time to evaluate the situation, the captain then asked to enter a holding pattern. The controller cleared him to enter the hold at a waypoint called Brazo.
I'd be like, no, negative, we're not holding. All right, let's see what's going on here real quick. Is that Vegas? Is that Vegas down there? Where are we at? I think that might be Vegas. We're getting close. Are we getting close? Man, look at that night flight. Love it, love it, love it. Let's go here. Let me turn. I just want to see where we are. Boulder City. Yeah, that is Las Vegas. That's cool. All right, don't fly and watch videos. I'm going to put it right here so we can kind of see what's going on. We're getting close to our arrival. We got to crush through this.
A few
15
miles to the
minutes.
southwest of Clacton. The pilots set this hold up on their flight management computer and began
Sorry,
tracking
Vladimir.
towards it. So far, the crew had done an excellent job of managing the emergency situation, staying calm under pressure and restoring some semblance of normality to the flight. But they would come under fire from some quarters for what they did next. And
What
this
happened next?
is where the story of Flight 870 really begins.
Well, now I'm curious. I thought everything was fine.
Once established in the holding pattern at flight level 230, the captain began trying to figure out which systems were still working and which were not. Despite having restored power to the aircraft, one of the units which converts the AC current from the electrical generators to DC required by the aircraft systems, known as a transformer rectifier, was not working.
TRU?
The last thing the captain wanted was for the power to go again. As a precaution, he started the auxiliary power unit, a small jet engine in the tail of the plane.
Okay.
He didn't need the electricity from it now, but if the aircraft suffered another power loss, he wanted to be able to tap into this supply quickly.
So I think I can follow his train of thought here, right? He's thinking, Was that a generator issue? I've got my generators online right now. While I do, let me start the APU. I don't really see anything wrong with this train of thought here. Matter of fact, I think it's pretty good. It's got some forethought in it. I think it's a good idea.
An assortment of other systems had been lost, including the heating on the captain's windscreen and his side window. The cabin temperature control was also no longer working, and neither was the ventilation for the avionics in the cockpit or the ventilation for the bathroom and the galley.
No
This
issues.
was not the healthy plane that the captain had departed Heathrow with just a
Get
few
on the
minutes
ground.
ago. Trying to locate the source of these problems, the captain brought up the electrical systems page on his central display. On it, everything appeared to be working normally,
Except
except
AC
for the
bus
number 1
1.
transformer rectifier, which was highlighted in amber. The captain assumed, understandably but incorrectly as it would turn out, that the failure of the transformer rectifier was the cause of the power loss. The reality was that rather than being the cause of the power loss, it was yet another victim of the true reason for the power loss.
Right, because look at this. Look at the schematic right here. We know the AC essential should power AC bus 1, right? We could power it through AC bus 1. Not necessarily the TRU's problem, because if AC bus 1 goes offline, generator 2 is fully capable of powering both AC bus 1 and AC bus 2 via the AC essential. This is why we have the AC essential switching push button on the overhead. It's not necessarily the TR, but you could see where his head is at here. This is systems knowledge. I'm not saying I'm smarter than he was. The dude's got 10,000 hours on the plane. He's obviously well versed. This is just heat of the moment. You saw something that you thought you could run with here. Doesn't look like it's going to be the right situation because, like I said, Gen 2 should be easily powering AC bus 1 through the AC essential. Now, we have automatic switching now. Back then they didn't have it, but you still have the push button. So it's not necessarily the TR's fault here.
True reason for the power loss. That was the failure of one of the 2 main electrical generators, Gen 1, which was upstream of the transformer rectifier. But pilots don't need to be experts on their aircraft's electrical systems. The real experts are those who work in maintenance.
True.
If the captain could get through to an engineer at British Airways, he might be able to get some clarity on what was going on with the plane. He radioed British Airways maintenance control center and described what had happened to the aircraft.
Home of the speedbeds.
In the back of the plane, the
What's up,
passengers
Stephen?
were still oblivious about what had happened. All they knew was that the lights had gone out for a few moments and that the plane now appeared to be turning over the suburbs to the east of London. They had no idea that just a few moments ago the lights in the cockpit had gone out too, not to mention the cockpit displays and instrumentation. In between calls to maintenance, the captain made a PA, telling the passengers and cabin crew that there had been a technical issue with the aircraft. He said that they were now in a holding pattern while they considered what to do next.
Okay, so why are they in the holding pattern again? Do you guys remember? Because Dale, you brought up a good point. I'm not sure, are they holding because of traffic? But it really, in this situation, you don't need to be holding. You need to be getting on the ground. If pan is not enough, then declare an emergency, land the airplane, and figure it out. You know you're going back to Heathrow, right? So why sit around and fly in a pan when you know you're already going back to Heathrow? Declare the emergency, get the airplane on the ground, in my opinion.
The passengers were keen to continue to Budapest. There weren't any more flights there from Heathrow that evening, and if they were to return to London, they would have to wait until the next day at the earliest to get another flight.
That's the least of your concern. That's the least of your concern is when the next flight is. Get them on the ground so they have the opportunity to book another flight.
How badly things had gone wrong up front. And up in the cockpit, a new problem was brewing. Neither the pilots nor the maintenance engineer they were talking to knew how serious the problem was either. During the captain's conversation with maintenance control, a misunderstanding had developed. Reception over the radio was bad, and the frequency was being used by several other aircraft as well, so it was difficult for both the captain and the engineer to have a proper conversation. What this meant was that the engineer missed several important parts of the captain's transmissions. This included the sheer amount of screens, lighting and instruments the cockpit had lost during the power failure. It also included the fact that the pilots had needed to press the ACESS feed push button to restore power to the aircraft. This was an important fact because it would have told the engineer that the problem was more than just an issue with the transformer rectifier.
Right.
As a result of
this is why
the engineer was under the impression that the aircraft's problems had started with the failure of the transformer rectifier.
Okay, so let's just take a second here. We hopefully we don't have time to finish this video, but it's important to understand. I get communicating with maintenance while you're airborne. Totally understand that. There are plenty of situations where that is 100% viable, 100% right thing to do. I don't understand. Well, let me rephrase. There are also situations where that's really irrelevant at the point of that you're with the situation that you're dealing. There are some situations where that really is going to be irrelevant. You already know you need to get back on the ground. You just lost all your electrical power. You got it back, but you didn't get everything back. You still have issues. It's not like they reset a generator and everything is back to normal, right? They're reset, quote unquote, but they still are on alternate essential feed. They still have multiple systems out. There is obviously something still wrong with the airplane. So instead of sitting around here in a hold, it would be, in my opinion, as a Monday morning quarterback in this situation, to let's say, okay, let's declare the emergency. Let's get going back to London. And maybe when you're on the way back into London, you talk to maintenance control, see if there's anything they can do while you're on your approach back in, if you have the time. But it's kind of like AJ said, this is like arguing about who pays the tab when the restaurant is on fire. That's a great analogy. And again, I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback these guys. Again, this is 2005, right? We said early 2000s, early aughts. So things are a little bit different. The technology is still much newer back then. This is almost 20 years ago. So I can understand everything that's going on here, and you really can't fault anybody for this. But knowing what we know now, that's kind of where I would stand on this situation. The airplane is not normal. You still have issues. So let's get it on the ground, and then we can figure out what we're going to do with it after that. If you have time while you're going back to land, talk to maintenance control. But right now, I'm not taking this puppy out over into the night, going all the way to Budapest, wherever they're going. Let's get back on the ground.
The reality was that the issue lay much deeper, with the component that provided the plane's electricity to begin with, Generator 1, or Gen 1. This was a much bigger problem, and it still posed a threat to the aircraft. If it could fail once, it could easily fail again. But without knowing that this was the problem, maintenance control simply couldn't provide sound advice. So, operating under the false impression that the problem lay with a transformer rectifier, the engineer checked his maintenance documentation to see whether the aircraft could safely fly with this inoperative. As it turned out, it could.
Right.
The engineer then advised the captain that it would be possible to continue the flight all the way to Budapest, carrying this fault.
I've actually had a TR1 fault fail. Like, it's fine. A TR is not end all be all, but that's not the problem here.
When the plane landed in Budapest, local maintenance personnel there could reset the system, and the aircraft would be back in top condition. Problem solved, it seemed.
Right. So the engineer, this is another reason why you don't argue about who's paying the tab when the restaurant's on fire, because you've now opened, by opening this whole nother chain of communication, you've now opened the opportunity for more errors to take place, because there's been a lack of communication. There's unknowingly to the pilots and maintenance control, though, but there's been some transmissions that were not transmitted. The engineer has only half the story, half the picture of what's actually happening. So if you have half the information that you need and you try to make a remedy to the situation, it's probably not going to end well, or it just may not work at all, or it may put you back into the position that you were before you even called them up. So there's really, at this point, when the airplane is not working, it is broken. You know it's broken. Let's start working on getting back on the ground. If this was something smaller, like I'm sure there are scenarios that will pop up in the Airbus where it would be a good idea. Okay, let's enter a hold. Let's see if we can figure this out. We've got a reset. Let's call maintenance. Okay, they've reset it. We're on our way. I am sure there are scenarios at which this is 100% plausible. And I'm not even saying that this is not one of those scenarios. It's just knowing what we know now and how I approach the Airbus. You're kind of delaying the inevitable here. Kind of delaying the inevitable.
The flight had the A-OK from maintenance control to continue to Budapest. This was an easy piece of advice for the engineer to give,
right,
sitting safely on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Sitting safely on the ground.
It was the captain's decision about whether to return to Heathrow or to continue the flight to Budapest.
100%.
And it wasn't a simple decision to make. The two pilots now began discussing their options as the plane flew around the holding pattern to the northeast of London.
What are their discussions? I wish we had the CVR of this.
On one hand, even with the power now restored, the plane still had problems.
Correct.
Was it responsible to take this aircraft out over the North Sea
No.
and then hundreds of miles across Europe, knowing that it had issues?
No.
the pilots began flicking through.
Case in point, just thought of it, so I love doing this. Had a taken off out of not Cancun, the other holiday destination on the west side. Cabo, Dallas, Fort Worth. APU's in op, on departure, Gen 1 fail. So we're now single generator. Maintenance control advised, well, why don't you just continue over? You can continue on one. I'm like, nighttime over the Sea of Cortez. Do you know how many great white sharks are down the Sea of Cortez? We're not taking this puppy over the Sea of Cortez, one generator, let alone over Mexico at night. No single gen, not happening. Go back to Cancun, or not Cancun, what the hell, that Cabo. So that's just another real world scenario that popped into my mind that I went through, where maintenance is saying, hey, well, you could go. I'm like, yeah, I know I could go, but I don't want to.
With their onboard documentation, trying to figure out what it would mean for them to continue the flight with each of these systems inoperative. One important issue they had was the lack of windscreen and window heating on the captain's side. Buried in the A320's documentation was a restriction, stating that in order to take off with an unusable windshield and window heating, the plane would have to avoid icing conditions for the entirety of the flight.
That's a gotcha right there.
Could the captain really ensure that on a 2.5-hour flight he could remain clear of icing conditions? All it would take to fall foul of this restriction would be for the pilots to inadvertently fly into a cold cloud, something there isn't much of a shortage of in the sky.
That's right.
And speaking of clouds, there was still the increasingly concerning issue of the weather at Budapest. When the pilots had checked earlier, conditions had been bad enough to be challenging even in a fully functioning plane. In fact, the visibility was forecast to be so low that the pilots might have needed to get the plane to perform an auto-land, something that is rarely done. But without a functioning auto-thrust, the plane wouldn't even be able to land itself. If that happened, the pilots would have to divert to another airport.
Okay, so not only everything going against them, it's the weather at their destination possibly is an auto-land scenario. No way are we taking this airplane. No, we're going back right now, 5 minutes ago.
Really makes sense for the captain to take his faulty plane on a 2-hour night flight to an airport where the weather was marginal and from where he may have to divert in any case. And this was all assuming that the plane would continue functioning more or less how it had been since the pilots had restored power.
Yes.
Weighing heavily on their minds was the possibility that it would not do that, and that they would lose power again somewhere over Europe or out over the North Sea, or, worst of all, on final approach to Budapest when they were low to the ground and couldn't yet see the runway through the fog. If more faults emerged en route, or if the power failure happened again, would they have the same luck they had had the first time? Surely the sensible thing to do was to call it a night and bring the plane back to Heathrow where they knew they would be safe. But all of this was only one side of the arguments the pilots had to have with themselves. On the other hand, if they chose to return to Heathrow, the airline's management would not be pleased.
That's where you tell the airline's management. Got some choice words for you. Zippy, what's our bottom of the descent on the Angel 4? Someone give me the bottom altitude for the Angel 4. I see TOD coming up here. I'll be ready for it.
The airline's own engineers had advised the captain that the flight was okay to continue to Budapest. Why would the captain ignore advice from somebody who knew more than him about the aircraft systems? If he returned to Heathrow, the cost to the airline in wasted fuel and passenger rebookings would run into the tens of thousands of pounds. This was made all the worse by the fact that just a few
Lauren, yes, exactly.
months previously, a brand new piece of legislation was passed in the European Union called the Air Passengers' Rights Regulation.
All right, here we go.
This entitled any passengers on a flight delayed by more than 3 hours to significant financial compensation. In other words, returning to Heathrow would be a costly choice. But then, at least on paper, pilots aren't supposed to make safety-related decisions based on commercial considerations like this.
Absolutely, but it is a pressure. Don't get me wrong. You will feel the pressure. As a captain of an airliner, you will feel that pressure.
What the captain had to consider, which the airline's management didn't, was a different cost altogether. The cost of things going wrong in the air for a second time, and maybe this time without such a positive result.
Thanks, Nathan.
Deliberations continued for 40 minutes as Flight 870 flew in a holding pattern at 23,000 feet out to the northeast of London. Finally, at 10 minutes past 9, the captain made the decision. He figured that with the faulty transformer rectifier already offline, it was unlikely to cause any more problems. Maintenance control had given him the all clear, and he trusted their judgment. Flight 870 would continue to Budapest.
I'd be very interested to see what the FO was saying during this. I wish we had a transcript of the conversation between the two. Now, it could have been collective, but as an FO, if you're in this situation and you're uncomfortable with it, you got to make it known. You could be like, no, dude, I know you because as a first officer, and look, all captains have been first officers, most of them, unless you fly like in the like in Dubai and some other airlines, some other parts of the world where it's a hierarchy of promotion rather than experience. But 90% of all captains were first officers, and I can tell you, the benefit of a first officer is, while yes, you still do have some of the pressures, you're still part of the crew, obviously. Sometimes having a little less pressure with the final decision as a final decision maker, you see things that the captain cannot see. That's why it's very important to make sure that you are communicative and outspoken with the things that you are seeing and the things that you are feeling. Because the captain, while they should be seeing these things, due to the pressure that they're feeling as being the pilot in command of making the decision, they neglect to see that. And sometimes it's just as simple as an FO saying something like, hey, well, what about this? Or are you sure? And then that triggers something, and then the command decision is changed and the safer course of action is taken. TOD, we're starting down, 12 is managed. So 100% that is CRM, and that's it. For those that ever watch this on VOD or whatever, if you're a first officer, maybe you're going to be trained to be an airline pilot, don't just think because you're a first officer that you don't have an important voice, because you absolutely do. It's even more important in a situation like this, because like I said, the captain might be completely occupied with something else, some other stresses that you can't see or feel, but by you speaking up, you can get him or her right back to where they need to be. So that's why I'd be curious to see what the communication was like
what
here.
neither the pilots nor maintenance knew was that the problem was never with the transformer rectifier to begin with. The real problem, Gen 1, was humming away quietly in the background, and it was fully liable to fail again. Blind to this fact, the captain informed air traffic control that he would be continuing the flight. He then made an announcement to the passengers and cabin crew to this effect. Grave danger. The first officer pointed the plane out east and began climbing to flight level 330. By this point, confident that they didn't need the electricity and not wanting to waste fuel, the pilots turned off the APU. Before long, Flight 870 had reached its cruising altitude.
At the very least, I'd let that sucker burn the whole way there.
The pilots were closely monitoring both their instruments and the weather at their destination. Given how badly things had started out for the flight, it was relief for the pilots that the only lasting consequence appeared to be that they were 40 minutes late, having spent about that time in the holding pattern over the UK. The captain had taken back control of the aircraft from the first officer, and he had found a thrust setting which kept the aircraft at a reasonable cruising speed. It was unusual to be flying such a modern jet at cruising altitude on manual thrust, but it was hardly unsafe. As long as the weather held up at Budapest, what started out as a near disaster would have become nothing more than an inconvenience in the story of Flight 870. The passengers had all but forgotten about the issue earlier in the flight, as they tried to get some rest before their arrival into Budapest. But at about 10:30 UK time, as the pilots began their descent, their plane had a final nasty surprise in store for them. The temperature at normal cruising altitudes is about -50 degrees Celsius.
Oh boy.
As a result,
they can start
the
icing
aircraft's
up
skin
windows?
is chilled to well below freezing during the cruise, and it stays this way for much of the descent. As Flight 870 descended, the warm moisture in the atmosphere hit the cold glass of the windscreen, and the captain's side window frosted over.
Yep, seen that happen.
At 10 minutes to 11 that night, Flight 870 lined up at the runway for its final approach. The pilots lowered the landing gear and slowed the aircraft down. When they finally broke out of the clouds, the full effects of the captain's frosted over windscreen became all too clear. While the first officer could see the runway outer windscreen, the captain was effectively blind. There was no way he could land the aircraft like this. He handed over control to the first officer so that she could complete the landing.
Very lucky she had window heat.
When one pilot flies, it's the other pilot's job to monitor their flying. But without being able to see out his windscreen, the captain wasn't fully able to monitor the first officer. He simply had to follow what she was doing on his instruments, making sure that she was staying on the glide path and that her speed was safe. On top of this was one of the few times outside of the simulator that the first officer had to carry out an approach and landing while manually controlling the thrust levers. This was hardly an emergency, but her lack of hands-on experience with this had the effect of increasing her workload at a point in the flight where she really could have done without such an inconvenience. The automated voice in the cockpit counted down the aircraft's altitude as it approached the runway.
30.
That's a cool effect. He's actually got it blurred out there.
At 5 minutes to 11 UK time, Flight 870 finally touched down safely at Budapest. With the captain still unable to see out his windscreen, the first officer taxied the aircraft off the runway and back to the stand.
Good thing we got 2 tillers in the Airbus.
When back at the gate, the captain wrote up the remaining faults in the aircraft's technical log. Both the crew and passengers were extremely lucky that the aircraft's power didn't get cut off a second time. But the question still remained as to why it had been cut off in the first place. As it turned out, this was not the first occurrence of a serious electrical power loss on an Airbus A320 series aircraft. Going back over the last 10 years, investigators found as many as 5 similar incidents, including one which happened just as the aircraft was making its final approach to the runway. This was clearly a problem with Airbus aircraft, but when engineers began trying to hone in on the original cause for the loss of power on Flight 870, they couldn't find it. They knew that it had something to do with Gen 1, but after a series of tests, they were unable to replicate exactly what had happened. This finding, or lack thereof, had a frightening implication. A similar loss of power could happen again on any Airbus A320 series aircraft without warning.
That put everybody in grave danger.
As a result, the final report into the incident recommended that Airbus make changes which were focused on minimizing the seriousness of a similar event, rather than on preventing it altogether. Following these recommendations, Airbus have since added a backup electrical supply to the cockpit floodlight, meaning that if there is a serious power loss,
huge.
the standby instruments
That's actually
remain
big.
visible.
Overhead dome, too.
Newer Airbus aircraft have replaced the old mechanical standby instruments with a single LCD display.
Big difference there, too.
Being a screen, it's lit by default, and, needless to say, it has its own independent power supply, making it invulnerable to any power loss that affects the main instrumentation. And perhaps most crucially of all, Airbus have since modified their software such that in the event of a power loss of this sort, the aircraft automatically switches to its alternate electrical supply, rather than waiting for the pilots
AC
to do this.
essential auto switching,
This
baby.
means that power is restored much more quickly.
That's a good one.
It is
We got
often
some.
said that aviation safety rules are written in blood, but this isn't the whole story. Small incremental changes of the sort that resulted from Flight 870 have saved countless lives over the years. The passengers of Flight 870 were fortunate that they fell into this category of incidents. Thanks again to War Thunder for...
All right, that was a good one. Let's go ahead and kill that. We got, before we debrief that, let me go ahead and get everything set up here for the airplane. We're on our descent. Look at that, man. Los Angeles on the horizon. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look at that. Descending in. What do we got down here? We got the UPS base or whatever it's called. There's an airport down there. Look at this, is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what it looks like, though. There's the mountains, the sea of lights. This is so much juice. Let's go ahead and get the LS push buttons on here real quick. Destination data, next phase. I think I'm just going to set 311. I'm not sure what it is. We'll do 311. Quick ATIS for Los Angeles. Information X-ray. Winds are, well, not the winds, but this is 3009. Temperature is 20. Beautiful night in LA. Go Dodgers. And winds are 250 at 12 right down the pipe. Going to be a beautiful arrival tonight, folks. I can't wait for this. This is going to be good. Look at this. On the descent, we're descending down, managed descent down to 12,000. Ontario, thank you. So debriefing that, you know, semi-quickly here as we get our final descent. Again, we learn from all these incidents, right? I mean, 2005, 20 years ago, right here, AC essential feed, alternate, but now it will automatically power through the AC essential bus. That's an option on all, well, not all, but hopefully, I think all the new aircraft have it. But you can see here the main source of power is because from AC bus 1. You see how it's a thicker green line? This actually means something up here, the thickness of these lines. The thinner line is indicating that, okay, the main source of power for the essential bus is AC bus 1. If it's not, you can still do it through AC bus 2, and you can still power AC bus 1 via the essential feed. So it's just a little bit of systems knowledge. Now, back then, I'm not sure. I think Gus mentioned it when we were watching the videos. Like, I don't know how much of that training they had talking about that type of backup and reversion system, because we just never really saw those incidents occur. And so there's really no reason to talk about it. But probably after that incident, we know after that incident now that's when they got the auto transfer, etc., etc. And that's probably also why that's a hot topic for discussion when you go through training on the Airbus now, is you kind of really go over, okay, this is the TR, this is the generator, this is the AC bus 1 or 2. And it can be powered different ways, right? It can also be powered by the APU generator. So getting more in depth through that electrical is a big deal, and that's why you always want to make sure you are not slopping your way through systems training, because you don't have to know how to build the airplane, but I mean, you best know everything that you can control. The way I look at it is everything that you can control from up front, from the cockpit, with a switch, with something that you can manipulate. You better know everything about that switch, about that button, about that manipulator, because if you can control it, that means it's probably important that you know what it does. Our guy doing the electrical system was a whiz with all that information. Oh, I bet, Chaos. I bet, man. I'm excited for the 380. I really am. After this flight, I might have to rename this stream, because I kind of want to fly this airplane again. 2992 3008 Magic Bear Ref 3008. We're out of 18,000 feet. Seatbelt signs are coming back on. Let's go ahead and turn the wing lights on for juice. Looks like towers online 2095. 2095. We'll prime them up here. 2095. But that was a great video, Jeremy. I don't know if you're still here. I never saw that video till just now. That's a very interesting one. I hope you enjoyed that. I love Green Dot's breakdowns. I mean, he does a great job. I love looking at the cinematics of Microsoft Flight Sim, and just the way he talks is so soothing. It's just, I love it. Look at this view, though. We're going to be a little bit high here at Circus. Let's go ahead and get some speed brake action out. Let's go ahead and reset our altitude. Let's go down to 4. Keep coming down to 4. 270. I'm also going to select speed 270. A little bit high here over Circus. Oh, this is exactly what it looks like, though, Chad. This is why I wanted to do this flight. This is awesome. Chaos, can you just go ahead and tell us all what time this airplane's coming out? Look at the texturing on the acoustic liner. They must have had unless this is all livery work by Silky, which I know that dude is extremely talented. This airplane has really gone up in its graphical presentation. Look at that. Oh my gosh, this is great. Just noticed the reversible bus and fly-by-wire. Let's see. Backup speed scale? No, it doesn't work, but the switch is there. So you can actually turn it on in the real airplane. It doesn't do anything negative. So we were actually encouraged when our fleet started showing up with bus switches. They said, yeah, go ahead and turn it on. You know, obviously, you probably wouldn't want to do it in a LNAV, VNAV descent into Kennedy. But when you're out flying around on a visual approach, turn it on. And I've done a handful of approaches with it on just for practice. You know, you can, first officer can see it, you can see it. And all you have to do is just click it again and you revert back. But it is very handy if you're in a situation where you don't have a reliable airspeed, because that's a big one. Non-reliable airspeed is really a pain. Unless you've done it, maybe we can try doing it in the next time we do a Fenix flight. I don't know if they simulate that failure. But unreliable airspeed can be very challenging to diagnose, because it's not just like a blatant incorrect information. You could have, you know, slightly increasing airspeed here. You could have a steady airspeed on the FO side, and you can have maybe a slightly decreasing one on the ISIS. So, like, you really have to look at all the information. Look at your ground speeds, look at your winds, look at your TAS. So it's not as easy as you may think to diagnose an unreliable airspeed, and having that backup speed scale just makes it so much safer and so much better for the crew. LA versus, I think LA takes the cake over SFO, man. Come on, I think flying into LA at night takes the cake. Look at the glow on the bottom of the airplane. Can we hit? Uh-oh. Probably just LAX loading in. That's an AMD issue. Can we hit 400 likes before we land? Let's hit 400 likes, y'all, for the last 320 stream until we fly 380s. Let's just end this day. Beautiful day of streaming. Been a lot of fun. Love those lights down there. All right, we're getting out of 10,000 feet. We're slowing to 250 knots. Let's activate and confirm the approach phase. We're activated, confirm. Speed brakes out. Lights are coming on. Flight attendants prepare for landing. LA Tower's on 2095. Let's go ahead and switch over now. I think we got to wait just a little bit to call them. All right. Let's see. Do I have any DME? I don't have any DME.
Piedmont 1041, no problem. Wind 250 at 12, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Clear to land 25 left, Piedmont 1041.
We have information X-ray. I know we're flying to LA and Cali Simmers here, not here. What's up with that? I think she's fired. Our leveling 8, let's keep coming down. Oh, no, we got 4,000 is set. Constraint mode here. Let's give Tower a call. We might be too far out, but let's see. LA Tower, good evening. Frontier Flight 357, 8,400 descending for the ILS 25 left, information X-ray. That was the wrong push button. That was a great radio call. Fake pilot. LA, good evening. LA Tower, good evening. It's a Frontier Flight 357, information X-ray descending, 25 left ILS at a 7,900.
Frontier Flight 357, LA Tower, continue approach.
Continue Frontier Flight 357. I can't get my trigger to bind for some reason. So I'm using my other push to talk. It's because Iveo Premium, it keeps saying that something on the Bravo is being pushed, so it's not letting me bind it. It's frustrating. Let me try again real quick. Push to talk. Set new. Okay, there we go. It got it. Sometimes I have to do it a couple times. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah, now it's working. All right, we're thrust idle, descent. We're at 7. Let's keep coming down. Let's go ahead and start slowing down here just a little bit. Let's enjoy this. 210. Ooh, we need to get G's on.
1041, say gate, please.
Speed brakes out. We need G's and flight recorder.
Piedmont 1041, back to the gate via Hotel, Juliet, Charlie, cross runway 25 right, at Juliet.
Flight recorder's up.
Hotel, Juliet, Charlie, cross 25 right, at Juliet.
G's is up. We're ready to go.
Air Canada 9758, say parking today.
Mr. 68 Ken, thank you for the $5 super chat, my man. Appreciate you. It says, I'm on Xbox, so no fly-by-wire or anything from me, but I'm still excited to watch the 380 stream. It's nice.
Where do you park?
I've been flying the 300 lately. Nice, dude. Mr. 68 Ken. I was going to fly the A300 this evening. It did not win in the poll, though, unfortunately.
Turn left off the active runway, please.
But thanks again for the super chat.
Cross runway 24 left.
Flaps 1.
Gate via Zulu Echo.
I'm going to turn the recording on now so we have a nice long replay. Nice, so you can I'll leave you guys with one long approach. We need to hustle down though. Let's go ahead and go speed brake, open descent to 4. We're high. First idle, open descent, speed brakes out.
FedEx 478 heavy, LA Tower.
Good old LA. There's not even any winds and I'm still high and fast.
25 right, taxi via Bravo, FedEx 478.
Okay, there's our 19.1. Still no glide slope, so we're not going to arm the approach just yet.
Frontier Flight 357, wind 250 at 12, runway 25 right, clear to land. Correction, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Runway 25 left, clear to land, Frontier Flight 357. All right, we are clear to land. We're going to continue inbound. Let's set 3,800.
2191 heavy. Approaching top of descent in around 10 nautical miles. Current,
nope. First idle, open descent. Keep coming down. What's GG? GG is 1900. That's what I wanted. 1900 is set. There's our glide slope approach. AP2 is selected. Glide slope blue. Lodestar Cat 3 dual autopilot 1+2. Let's go ahead and slow to 180. Slowing down here to 180. Aircraft will pitch up. We'll catch that glide slope. Should be right below the VFE speed, and then we'll get flaps 2 in here of super juice.
American 5014, LA Tower, wind 250 at 12, runway 25 left, clear to land, number 2. behind the frontier.
Look at that. Perfect. That's a perfect glide slope. Glide slope star. Go around altitude set. We'll set 1,500 feet. White.
I'm going to
If you next minus 10 flaps 2.
Taxi to the runway.
Virgin 24 Mike Heavy, runway 24 left, taxi via Kilo Echo.
Love that flap sound. I feel like the flap sound's been enhanced even.
Taxi via Kilo and Echo to runway 24 left, Virgin 24 Mike.
Does that sound downtown LA off there? Oh man, it's so cool. Alright, double check. We are activated and confirmed. Yes, we are. VAP 129. Altimeter 3009. Set. Oh, there's Dodgers. Or there's Dodgers. SoFi Stadium. There was a cool picture. They had that all like digitally showing Go Dodgers on it. Look at this sea of lights. Oh, this is so cool. Man, NightOPS for the win. I know we don't do them frequently, but you got to get a NightOP in every now and then. This is nice.
2,500.
2,500. 2,500. I think that's configurable in the settings. Alright, approaching 2,000 above touchdown. Manage speed. Gear down. Arm speed brake. Oh, I love that thud.
Flight tower, Flight 403. We're about 4,300 right base. I'd like to visual 25 left. We can get it in there from frontier. That's
VFE next, minus 10 flaps 3.
Hey,
and VFE next, minus 10 flaps 4.
463 LA Tower.
Landing checklist.
0 at 12, runway 25 left. Clear to land. You are
so juice.
An Airbus 320 on number 3.
Flaps 4 landing checklist. Cabin crew advised auto thrust. Speed. Auto brakes are off. ECAM memo. Landing all green. Landing check is complete. Let's hand fly this. Let's go. I'm going to leave the auto thrust on just to see how she handles. We're right on that VLS. But it's calm wind, so we're going to let it ride. If it was kind of choppy here, I'd say give me another 2 or 3 knots. I can't remember the last time I landed the fly-by-wire, so this should be interesting. 1,000 feet stable, clear to land.
1,000.
This is so crazy how real this is, y'all. Alright, we got the replay. Watch, let's just fly the airplane. We got to turn those pappies down a little bit. They're a little too aggressive. Not quite that visible. Burble there. I mean, she is locked in here. A little bit of a sink right there. Sink rate check.
Virgin 24 Mike Heavy. Wind 250 at 12. RNAV Delray, runway 24 left, clear for takeoff.
Runway 24 left, clear for takeoff, RNAV Delray, Virgin 24 Mike Heavy.
Can we get some power, please? Thank you.
100 above. Minimum.
Landing. Follow the pappy down here.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10, 5.
Oof. That felt a little weird. Spoilers. 330. Wasn't my best.
Southwest 3030, LA Tower.
Reverse screen. Manual brakes. Decelling. Kablamo. 70 knots. A bit firm. We'll leave it to the replay to assess.
Was that clear for the approach for Southwest 30?
Southwest 3030, affirmative, continue approach.
Alright, we'll continue approach Southwest 30.
Ooh.
Frontier Flight 357, taxi Hotel Juliet, cross runway 25 right at Juliet, contact ground on the other side, 120.95.
Hotel Julia cross 25 rack down the other side, 2175 for Frontier Flight 357. Winds weren't even calm. I know. I haven't landed this thing in like 25 years. All right. Let's go ahead and stop the recording. We'll see. We're gonna assess the landing and replay. I noticed you kept pumping your side stick instead of holding a smooth back pressure. Any reason why? Because I felt like I was gonna start floating. So like I had to release the pressure. Every time I pulled back, I thought I was going to start floating.
Departure is offline. Frequency change approved. Have a good night.
So I kind of just eased it off, but...
Frequency change approved. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. LA Tower, Virgin 24 Mike Heavy.
That poor guy's got a 15-hour flight in front of him.
FedEx 478 Heavy, runway 25 right, line up away, traffic crossing downfield.
Line up away, FedEx 478.
Oof, welcome to LA with the stutter in between. Alright, let's clean it up. Ground good evening, Frontier Flight 357, crossing 25 right, going to 56 Alpha.
Frontier 357, Los Angeles Tower. Good afternoon. Taxi to parking via Bravo.
Parking via Bravo, Frontier Flight 357. Do you get upset when you land hard in a real flight? No. I haven't had a hard landing in a while. But even when you do, it's just a little bit of a, it sucks. Live on for the next one. Yeah, no, I did not push the stick. Did not push the stick, Turk. I let go of the back pressure. So I went like this, and then I just kind of eased it off. Pushing would be this way. You never push the nose down. But when I pulled back, I kind of felt that like it was going to just keep, it was going to float. So I just kind of eased off. Did that little moment there. We'll see. We'll take Charlie 8, I guess. I'm not even sure. I think Frontier is on the other side of the airport. That was the 7-2 landing. There's somebody taking off right there. Was that an MD-11 taking off? Oh yeah, look at that. MD-11 blasting off. FedEx. Ooh, took that a little bit fast. Let's just go ahead and park here. Call it good. I gotta get home. It's 7 o'clock at night, y'all. Jeez. Been a long day. I'm not even sure what gate this is, but I think we parked here like 3 times. 69 Alpha. It's a good gate. It's a good gate right here. It's midnight there for Dougal? Oh man, well I appreciate you hanging around. Late night for you, Dougal. Just for Dougal, we're gonna go full speed ERP. Oh no, I can't see. I can't see. ERP. Oh, we almost hit the jet bridge. Oh, we're in between lines. That was awful.
At ground, Captain, Flight 463, just cleared 25 left. We're going to taxi literally straight ahead into the ramp, but
Air Flight 463, Los Angeles ground.
What, did he crash it?
Alpha.
Sounded like he had a hard landing. Part of your airplane's still on the runway.
All
Alright. Let's disconnect from my Veo Premium. Let's launch the replay. Let's pause it. I'll give you one full replay to watch. Let's go ahead and just watch it from here, though. Get the flaps back out. Let's get the parking brake off. Let's get replay cam up. Let the airport load in. We need to turn. We had auto thrust on, right? Let's turn auto throttle back on. Auto thrust on. Let's rearm the approach. See how we did in the chat. Midnight for you, Eastern 777. Need to be awake for work at 6 a.m. Godspeed, brother. Yeah, I disconnected. I disconnected Aveo Premium. Jose Meja, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker, man. Appreciate that. Very, very kind. Appreciate that. Glad you enjoyed the stream. Glad you enjoyed the content. Hope to see you tomorrow for maybe some 380 ops, huh? Thank you so much, Jose. Appreciate you, man. Guys, the 380's out. It's in my installer right now. I just looked. The 380's in the installer right now. I'm downloading it right now. Go check the installers, guys. Go check. It's too easy. I like that view, but I kind of want my flap view back here. This is a hell of a livery, because that's got to be livery work. A little bit of grime on the trailing edge flaps like that. Look at the lights. You know what I would have given to have this type of lighting back in the FS9, FSX days? A computer that could run these lights. It's not showing up in your installer? I don't know why it's not, Richard. It should be there. It's in mine. Let's see how it was from wing view first. That one said 294. 1.1. I see what's that. It almost seems like that nose down was more aggressive than normal. All right, let's see. Let's do a critique here, and then I'm gonna do one long one for you guys. So, goodness, this is what happens when you turn your scenery up to 1,000,000. Let's see what it looked like from here. I should wind the time back. Yeah, I could have used more flare. That was a 284. Hold on. Real quick. Just for science. Stow the speed brakes. I'm going to try one more time real quick. I don't know if this will work. Stop replay. I'm flying. I have control.
Pull up. Pull up.
Oh, jeez.
Pull up.
That's probably not going to work. Let's just see here. Yeah, it seems like when I go neutral, it almost noses down.
50. 40. 30. 20.
Yeah, see, I release that pressure.
10. 5.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. I'm just not used to it. Shit, I've been flying freaking MD-11 all day where you gotta free yourself. That was floatable. Obviously, that one wasn't for real. After replay, I can't guarantee the landing. Oh, I know it. I know it. I know it. I'm just trying to get it. I have control again. This is me flying, not the replay. I'm just doing mulligan practice here, just to get a feel for it. I don't do practice landings, y'all. I don't do practice landings before stream. I literally haven't landed this airplane since the last time we flew it. Alright, so now it seems a little bit better. Let's go ahead. Let's try that one more time. Mulligan attempt here, just to see. What was our VAP, like 139-ish? Again, this is not, nothing is guaranteed in replay mode. It could mess with the core systems for sure. I don't know why we're blowing all the way to the left over here. Winds are from the left. One more, then I'm going to give you the long replay to watch for bedtime. So we enter flare mode here.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Yeah, it seems like, and this could just be me sucking, I don't know. It seems like the pitching down is whatever value they have to run the trim forward needs to be cut in half. Because it just, I can feel what it's doing. It's trying to run the trim down and lower the nose and all that, but it feels like that's happening at a much faster rate than what feels natural. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm not upset about it. I still enjoyed the hell out of that flight. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had fun too. I'm going to end the flight here. You guys can watch this replay. We'll cancel that. Why are you doing all that? 200 VFE. Oh, we're still at 5.1. There we go. All right. But it's time to get out of here. Time to prep for the 380. You guys have been awesome. Hope you enjoyed tonight's flight. Thanks again for the green dot recommendation. Jeremy Harvey, that was a good one, man. That was really good. So, next time we see each other, possibly FlyByWire A380. I really enjoyed this flight. This was a lot of fun. Maybe if the 380 doesn't drop, we can do another A32NX flight because, like I said, I had fun with this one. So, all right, y'all. Have a good night. Go Dodgers. Thank you all for the super chats, the bank angle checks, hitting the like button. Geez, 450 likes. You guys just smashed out of the park. I was hoping for 400. You guys crushed it. You all are awesome. I will see you tomorrow. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, dream of 380s. See you on the next one. So. diplomatic purposes, Ron.